is a great guy. He was a great receiver, sure to be a Hall of Famer receiver because he's done a lot of things in the Arena Football League, but he's trying to take over this team. And as you know, whenever a new coach comes in, it's about chemistry. It's about getting the pieces right. It takes time. But the great thing, as he pointed out to me, the fact that they're still in it, and you mentioned only being 2 games out of first place, means they can still climb out of the hole. They still got to take on the Orlando Predators a couple times more this season. If they keep their streak alive, then they might be in the playoff position. But we definitely don't want to see that tonight against the Rattlers.
No, we don't. And that's Lincoln. So that's Lincoln Kennedy. I'm Jared Cohen. Now we're talking about the Rattlers. And it's been kind of a carousel this season in terms of the wide receivers that have come in and the quarterbacks and the offensive linemen, injuries. And oddly enough, and I'm sure you've seen this and you've been accustomed to this, but maybe someone who doesn't follow arena football as closely, B.J. Coleman had 3 great starts with the Rattlers and then just gets another job and says it's been a pleasure. Shane Boyd takes over a quarterback last week, does fantastic in the Rattlers win over the Spokane Shock. But back today, the MVP, the Latin Laser, Nick Davila, been nursing a foot injury since the first month of the season. He is back in uniform tonight. It's good to have the MVP back in uniform.
Well, it's really strange because I believe when you're a 3-time world champion, everybody wants to jump on board the train and the boat, if you will, the love boat, if you will. But it seems like there's been a number of guys for different reasons wanting to jump off. As you mentioned, B.J. Coleman, credit the coach guy and his staff for being able to compile the young guys who seem to be desired and want to be in it, still able to win. And the fact is, through all these changes, to have only lost 2 games this season is very impressive for the Rattler team. That shows you how strong their belief, their philosophy is. More importantly, when it matters, these guys show up to play. So it doesn't matter who it is or matter what the situation is, they show up and they get the job done.
And they've found personnel that has been able to come in and step in without really skipping a beat, as you mentioned. Guys like Michael McAdoo, a rookie, A.J. Cruz, who's been one of the special teams dynamos, also playing some jack linebacker, to go with the veterans that really held it down. The guys in the secondary on defense, Marquise Floyd, Jeremy Kellum, Markeith Brown. Of course, Rod Windsor has done his thing over the course of time. You look at the matchup here tonight between these 2 teams, Lincoln. You have one of the most elite quarterbacks in the game. He hasn't played a ton, but when he is in the game, the Rattlers are one of the most efficient offenses in the sport. Against a Tampa Bay team that, believe it or not, is second in the league against the pass, they have a very talented secondary.
They do have a very talented defense, but one of the things the Rattlers have going for them is the fact that they lead the turnover margin, 11 plus 11 for the Rattlers, minus 3 for the Tampa Bay Storm. What that tells me is that even though Tampa Bay might have a stagey defense, sometimes their offense gets a little careless with the football and they end up to turn it over. So just like anything else, when we've done shows together in the past, we've done games together in the past, arena football is all about rhythm. Offenses that are able to stay in rhythm and score can keep pace. One little hiccup, one little turnover, one stop, which every defense is looking for, really changes the pace of the game. So I think Tampa Bay is really going to come out and, as you said, keep pace with this Rattler offense.
Yeah, they're going to need to. I mean, you look at what their defense did last week. Granted, the New Orleans Voodoo have struggled this season, but they held New Orleans last week to just 6 points in the second half, 34 total in the game. And so they're coming off a very solid victory, but that was after giving up 71 points the week prior to Philadelphia. So you don't really know which defense you're getting in Tampa Bay, but when they really show up and they really buckle down, they're a defense that can really get after it. And with the Rattlers that are going to try to get into rhythm, what would you do if you're Coach Guy to get Nick back into the speed, back into the rhythm? He's been out for a long time. He's a true professional, so you think he'd be able to pick right up where he left off, but he is human after all. What do you do in the early goings to make sure that he's got his feet under him and he has a rhythm with his teammates?
We did the game last year when Davila suffered a real devastating tragedy, loss of a family member. Played out of his board, played phenomenally well. I was impressed by his attitude and his professionalism.
One of the best moments other than the Arena Bowl last year.
And so I think that this time around, Nick knows this offense through and through. Coach Guy knows this offense through and through. You have time to be patient. You have time to get him into a rhythm. But if anything, you call pass plays, you call plays that Davila's familiar with, and just let him do his thing. He's not a rookie. He's not new to this. He might be a little bit rusty. Maybe you don't necessarily go for as many post-corner throws as you probably would, but just let him do his thing.
That's Lincoln Kennedy. I'm Jared Cohen. We're going to be bringing you the play-by-play 10 minutes before kickoff here, and before that gets started, we'll bring you down to the field. In-house public address announcer Vince Marotta has the starting lineups, plus we'll have the national anthem before kickoff.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet tonight's Venomies. A warm Snake Pit welcome for head coach Lawrence Samuels and the Tampa Bay Storm. to meet your Arizona Rattlers. Led by the CEO of the Snake Pit, Striker D. Rattler, let's meet tonight's defensive starters. The defensive back from Texas A&M, number 11, R. Keith Brown. The defensive back from Brown, number 7, A.J. Cruz. The defensive back from West Georgia, number 19, Marquise Floyd. A defensive back from Middle Tennessee State, number 20, Jeremy Callum. A linebacker from North Carolina A&T, number 94, Tyree Glasper. A defensive lineman from North Carolina, number 90, Michael McAdoo. A defensive lineman from Florida State, number 92, Anthony McLeod. A defensive lineman from Michigan State, number 6, Cliff Dukes. A defensive lineman from Wisconsin, number 77, Anton Hawthorne. Defensive coordinator Dave Ewert, assistant head coach Connie Kawhi, and head coach Kevin Guy. Ninth man, would you please rise? On May 20th, we lost a member of the Rattlers family when Richard Rodriguez, affectionately known as Rattler Man, passed away after a long illness. An avid member of the Ninth Man, Rattler Man was often seen posing for photos with fans throughout the arena, showing off his elaborate attire and love for the Rattlers. Please join us in a moment of silence as we honor and remember the life of Richard Rodriguez. Thank you. Colors for tonight's game are presented by the United States Air Force. Now, to honor America, the Rattlers ask that you please remain standing and please remove your hats as we present the singing of our national anthem performed by Adriana Taylor.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars the rule the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Adriana Taylor.
Just about ready to get underway here at Auction Indian Community Field at U.S. Airways Center, where today the Tampa Bay Storm and the Arizona Rattlers. Tampa Bay 4-5, coming off a nice victory at home against the New Orleans Voodoo, an exciting one, 35-34. Held the Voodoo to just 6 points in the second half, and it's going up against the Arizona Rattlers, the 3-time defending Arena Bowl champion. Rattlers coming off a win at Spokane, 59-47. Shane Boyd comes in at quarterback, throws 7 touchdowns to 4 different Rattlers to receivers in a big road victory in a week where B.J. Coleman was supposed to be the quarterback. He decided to take another job, but there's no quarterback controversy today as Nick Davila is back in action, Lincoln. And as we get set here to start in this game, let's go over a few keys for tonight's game to get us ready and what we expect to see over the course of tonight's action.
Well, I tell you what, first of all, just to comment on the quarterback issue, how fortunate it is if you're Coach Guy to have Nick Davila, former MVP, the Latin Laser, back in saddle when your quarterback decides to take another job. So that's a fortune that's great for the Rattlers, and that'll do well for their offense tonight. But as far as keys to the game goes, the biggest thing that you have when you're a champion and you're trying to reach the pinnacle again, you tend to look down your nose at a lesser opponent. An opponent like the Tampa Bay Storm, who struggled 4-5, as you mentioned, only 2 games out of first place in their division. Dangerous team, needs to be respected. You need to take care of business in order to keep pace with your division leader, the San Jose SaberCats. Take care of the ball. That is the big thing, and that's crucial in arena football because offense needs to score and take care of the football. So my biggest key to the game is for the Rattlers to protect the football and not turn it over to a stingy Storm defense.
And protecting Davila as well. You want to keep your quarterback upright coming off the foot injury, and the Tampa Bay Storm have one of the best pass rushers in the Arena League this season. Defensive end Everett Hawkins, the Florida State Seminole, has been a monster. He is at least 1 tackle for loss in 5 of the last 6 games. He's been getting after the quarterback and getting after the offensive backfield. So that's a guy to keep an eye on. Defensively, if you're the Rattlers, this is a Tampa Bay Storm team that has really struggled on offense. They haven't exactly been able to get into a groove. Some games where they're able to put up big numbers, but quite a few abnormally low numbers for the Arena League. I mean, if you look at their last few games, they scored 35 in a win, 27 in a loss. They had 63 at Orlando, but just 28 against Jacksonville. They have quite a few games where they're not even getting to the 40-point mark. This is a game where the Rattlers can really make an impact in the early going to try to create some separation early and get this team out of a rhythm.
You're absolutely right, Jared, but you know who I'd like to see turn it up, and I haven't seen it happen. I want to see Cliff Dukes and McAdoo get more involved to get pressure on the quarterback. I know that Glasper leads the team with 5.5 sacks, but from a linebacker spot, I guess that's to be somewhat expected. I want to see the Ferdinand, Hawthorne, Dukes, as well as McAdoo, the newcomer, to get back to the quarterback, corral some pressure, create some pressure early. If they do that, they'll make things very difficult for the Tampa Bay Storm because, as you mentioned, this offense has problems scoring.
Tell us a little bit about T.T. Tolliver. We mentioned at the very top of the broadcast, this is a guy that you played with on the Tampa Bay Storm. Here he is, longtime player. He's been with the same team for many years. This is a special, special guy in the Arena League long term.
Very special guy. T.T. Tolliver was born January 30th, 1973, and my math serves me correct. That puts him around 42, right? Years, 42, 43 years old. So the thing is that he's been doing it forever, and he seems to be doing it well. I know that he's close to getting some of the premier stats. Barry Wagner, as well as some of the other mentionable Hall of Famers. So he is a truly special player. T.T. Tolliver, #1 receiver for the Tampa Bay Storm, will be worth watching tonight.
No question. And it must be weird for him. There's some guys that were born late 80s, early 90s that are going to be playing in this game. He's born in 73?
73, that's exactly right. January 30th, 1973.
And you know what that might mean? He might be the most athletic guy on the field. Maybe not currently at this age, but the fact that he is still playing at a professional level
says something about him, right?
Says something about him.
Says something about him. That's right. 42
there are a
years
few
old.
athletes that can pull it off for that long.
Very true. You're absolutely right.
Especially in the game of football.
Very true. Very true.
The Rattlers will have the ball first to start the game off. They will be going left to right as you're watching it on the screen here on ESPN3.com. Kicking the ball away will be Craig Peterson for the Tampa Bay Storms. Officials for tonight's game: the referee is Scott Campbell, umpire Roger Stewart, head linesman Terry Valeni, line judge Brett Ballman, back judge Michael Griffin, and the OB, which, have we done our research on the OB's responsibility?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
the jury's still
that was your homework.
I'm
since
sorry,
our
I
last
felt
broadcast.
miserable. My dog ate it.
Did your dog ate the homework? Buddy Ward is the OB, and hopefully by our next broadcast, Lincoln will have a nice
Outstanding
essay.
back judge.
The outstanding back judge. He's no disrespect to Michael Griffin, the back judge. The outstanding back judge today is Buddy Ward. As we're getting ready to get kicked away here, the 4-5 Tampa Bay Storm, their first game in Arizona since 1997. These two teams have played a total of 15 times, and despite all the success the Rattlers had over the last 5 seasons, the Tampa Bay Storm hold an advantage of 10-5, 10 wins to 5 losses over the Rattlers as we are underway. A high booming kick off the foot of Peterson, played off the net as Cruz splits a couple defenders and gets down to the 12-yard line, solid field position. A.J. Cruz, he is sneaky, he's little, and he proved it right there.
Well, Rick J. Hill, the linebacker, starting linebacker for the Tampa Bay Storm, went with his head down. Look, guy, I know that you had a bullet in mind and you're going to blow him up, but you got to keep your head up and see the target. He ducked his head, went right by A.J. Cruz. I think A.J.'s a little bit fortunate he did miss that. It would have been a big hit.
It would have been a big one. At quarterback, as we mentioned, as Lincoln talked about, Nick Davila has missed his last 4 games because of a foot injury, but he's back in action here tonight against Tampa Bay, and we'll see if he can shake off that rust early. In the pocket, he'll air it out, tries to go back shoulder to Windsor, but it's incomplete.
A little pressure there. The pocket collapsed fairly early. It looked like Davila wanted to go deep for Dieter or Windsor, as you mentioned, when the ball came out to him late, but it wasn't much on the ball because he couldn't step into the throw.
So it'll be 2nd down and 10 from the Rattlers' own 13-yard line. Just underway here from downtown Phoenix, Ak-Chin Indian Community Field at U.S. Airways Center, and it looks like on the snap, a false start is going to be called. Derek Dennis might have been the guy that moved early.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Well, 2 negative plays to start the game. A drop ball, luckily wasn't a turnover, and then you have an offsides, or a false start, I should say. And not the kind of start that this offense wants, so they got to kind of get the rhythm out, get the kinks out, and get going.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a quick, maybe out route or something quick that Davila could get the ball out of his hands and get a completion here. High motion man is Kerry Reed, who's just back from injury too. There's a quick pass out to Dieter. Gets across the 15, short of the 20, down the sideline. It'll be a gain of about 7 or 8 on the play, makes it 3rd down from their own 19.
That time the Tampa Bay Storms were in a zone-style defense where they were looking for the deep cross to play in both sidelines, deep 10 yards down the field, protecting the markers. Dieter catches the ball underneath, gets some good yards to catch, makes it more or less a manageable 3rd down.
Definitely a manageable 3rd down. It'd be 3rd down and 6 to be exact, just over 13 minutes left here in the first quarter. High motion man is Dieter. Davila, 3-step drop, airs it out to Dieter, but he's just a little bit overthrown.
Well, that's going to be one of the keys to tonight. You know, the working Dieter in with Davila, not really having a lot of history of working together, working at getting him into a rhythm. I've seen a conscious effort Davila to go to that last time, that corner route or that out route that he tried to hit pretty quickly. But just didn't have the timing, didn't have the finesse there. Has to work on that.
And we're going to be preaching this all night, and we might as well do it now while Tampa Bay's having some success defensively. Their secondary is stout. James Harrell had 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery last week against New Orleans. He's a guy to keep an eye on. On 4th down here, want to avoid a turnover, flushed out of the pocket, gets rid of it. That ball could have been picked off.
Well,
instead.
It's not a whistle yet. I'm waiting to hear a whistle. Finally, a whistle incomplete.
It was incomplete out of the box. Either way, turnover on downs for the Rattlers on their first offensive possession of the game. This has been an offense that has scored in their home games on almost every possession they've had the ball this season. I'm not exaggerating. Almost every offensive possession they've had at home this season, they've scored. Not all of them, but almost.
But, you know, every time we've watched them, they're truly efficient. And this was a little bit of a hiccup. Not a hiccup that's totally detrimental because you're still in the game. It's still scoreless. But it's one that you don't want to wish that you have back.
Jason Boltis is the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Storm. The talented player out of Hartwick. He's got just over 2,400 yards passing and 51 touchdowns on the season. And he's back to throw. He's going to the back corner of the end zone. There's a flag down over near the line of scrimmage.
I'm sure there was.
6. Spot foul, half the distance, 2nd down.
So he went low, and that must have created him to get a stinger of some sort.
Well, we have yet to see the replay, but a lot of times when guys go low, they put their head down. which is the worst. It exposes the back of their neck. Now, when they make contact with the other player, be it a leg or a knee or something, all of a sudden they're jamming their head forward. I've seen a lot of guys get concussions that way, and a lot of guys end up coming up with stingers that way. That's why it's always taught when you're playing football. All the young kids out there, when you're wearing a helmet, see your target, go through your target, shoot through your target, keep your head up. Don't put your head down. Let's hope the
heads
Salmon's
up
okay.
football, right?
Absolutely, heads up football, without a doubt.
Well, Salmons is able to walk off under his own power, which is great to see. It'll be a penalty on the Storm because Salmons went low on the block, which puts the Storm back at the 4-yard line where it'll be second down. It'll be 2nd and 11 from the spot of the foul.
And when you're outside the box, you cannot go below the knees on a low block. You have to keep it waist or higher.
So 2nd and 11 Tampa Bay from their own 4-yard line. Trying to get something going. Jason Boltis at quarterback. He was stripped by Michael McAdoo, which was ended up being recovered by Antaj Hawthorne, leading to the Rattlers' first score by Chase Deatter. That's where we're at now. And the Thunder want to score, or excuse me, the Storm want to score on this possession to keep pace with this Rattlers offense that can get rolling here at home. Little out route complete to 15, Philip Barnett. His first completion gets to about the 10-yard line, gain of 6.
Well, I tell you what, the Storm are having all sorts of problems with protection. And now another player down. Jamarcus Hardick is down. He got his knee rolled up on. They are having this defensive front, Glasper, Hawthorne, Dukes and company, McAdoo and company, they are bringing it because they are forcing collapse in the pocket right away every single time on the Storm's front.
We talked about this before the start of the broadcast. You look at the trenches on both sides of the ball for both teams. A lot of big-time college football programs represented. Florida
Certainly.
State, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Michigan State.
Yeah.
It's a common theme that some of these big guys in the trenches have come from major programs.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. You have an opportunity to play big ball, pro ball. Might not be the big field game like some of these guys want, but you got to make the best of it. Right now, the aggressiveness is in gold and black and not in white and blue, because I have seen this defensive front push back consistently that Storm offensive front and being Boltis' face all night long so far. And it's just starting.
We're keeping it right here during the injury timeout. Rattlers are on top of the Tampa Bay Storm 7-0. Lincoln Kennedy and Jared Cohen from Auction Indian Community Field at U.S. Airways Center. Being an offensive lineman yourself, you're noticing coverage breakdowns. What are some of the things that you're noticing just isn't on the same page?
Well, the breakdowns come from because they've had 2 series out there and they've shifted both times their offensive line in their backfield. A lot of times when you do that, you have some miscommunication, especially when you're on the road. Offensive line play is all about being in synergy with one another, knowing where the other guy's going to do. If you're mismatching, playing with pieces, taking one of your offensive guards, moving them to the backfield, moving them back to the line, that all messes up the synergy, and it's hard to keep the communication consistent.
There's 8:05 left here in this first quarter. A nice long time TV timeout.
Well, Boltis has been on his back for a great deal of time and has been hit a number of times. We've seen him slowly get up several times. It'll be interesting to see how he's able to react to try to get this first down and get some sort of offensive consistency. He's
1 of 2 so far for 6 yards. And he's gotten guys into that backfield, like you mentioned, Lincoln, and one time already it forced a fumble, which led to a touchdown. But back in action now, Jason Boltis and company for the Tampa Bay Storm. It's 3rd and 5, just under 8 minutes left here in the first quarter. Boltis, quick pass to the outside, and there's no one there. Complete downfield to Barnett, who had a lot of room to run into Rattlers territory to the 16, and a defensive breakdown that time for the Rattlers.
Well, if you're looking at Coach Guy's demeanor as he walks down the field, he knows there was some sort of breakdown. Not sure what happened. Maybe it was a bunch formation that threw him off, but as you mentioned, there was a breakdown there. There was a wide open guy who ran for not only the first down, but a few more yards on top of that.
So 2 consecutive catches now for Philip Barnett for a combined 28 yards. That one was for 22. And a 1st and 10 for Tampa Bay. T.T. Tolliver, the man in high motion with trips to the left of Boltis, and Antaj goes through the center. Antaj is saying that a Storm player moved a little quickly. Boltus had a hard count right there, and he might have gotten exactly what he wanted. Let's go down to the field.
Number 77, defense with contact. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
You know, the centers can be a little crafty at time. Right now, Jeremy Schoenbrunner is in there for the Storm, snapping the ball. Sometimes when a defensive lineman looks at the center of the hand or hand of the center, if you just grip the ball a little bit different, they flinch. They think it's the snap of the ball too.
Well, gamesmanship right there.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff you don't notice on the offensive line. Boltus, miscommunication right there, intended for Tolliver, but Boltus was on the ground late at the end of that play, and it might be a late hit.
I think it's going to be a roughing the passer.
And Coach Guy looks very frustrated on the sidelines right now with this defense during this drive.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 77, defense. Half a distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
You know, he does have a legitimate argument, my friend Jared, because the thing is that Hawthorne was thrown by an offensive lineman for the Storm into his quarterback, and that's what they called. That's why Coach Guy was mad. It's like he was thrown in it, so he couldn't avoid it.
Nonetheless, second penalty this drive on Antaj Hawthorne, the veteran, for the Arizona Rattlers on the defensive line. First and goal now for Tampa Bay from the 7-yard line. 6.5 minutes left here in the first quarter. Boltus back to throw, feeling the pressure, airs it back to the end zone, caught, touchdown, Storm. Boltus connects to Julius Gregory, and the Storm a much-needed answer, and we'll hope to tie this thing at 7 pending the extra point.
When you're a man-to-man that close, the hardest route for a defender to defend is a crossing route, and that's exactly what Gregory did. He went from one side of the end zone, left side of the end zone as going in, all the way to the right, and found a way to get open towards the tail end there.
So that adds a streak now. Julius Gregory has 6 consecutive games played with a touchdown after that score. And now the extra point, Craig Peterson tries to tie this thing up. The snap is good, the kick is up, and it's through. 5:43 now left here in the first quarter, and we're tied up 7-7. Rattlers back on offense. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. That's Airways Center, Jared Cohen and Lincoln Kennedy. The Tampa Bay Storm answer on a Julius Gregory 7-yard touchdown thrown by Jason Boltus. And with 5:43 left, the Rattlers will look to respond on offense. And as mentioned, Julius Gregory now has a streak going, 6 consecutive games played with a touchdown. Him along with your boy, T.T. Tolliver. A solid 1-2 punch at wide receiver for Tampa Bay. A.J. Cruz plays it off the net, crosses the 10, dives forward to about the 14-yard line, where the Rattlers will take over 1st and 10, try to make it 2 consecutive possessions with a score.
Solid field position. Let's see if they can work off of the rhythm they got with the last scoring drive. Unlike that first drive where they had a couple hiccups, a couple miscues, let's see if they can create some sort of offensive rhythm.
They really had one big play, that pass to Kerry Reed plus the roughing the passer that brought them all the way from their end of the field to the 7-yard line of the Storm. That led to the touchdown. They swing it out to Kerry Reed. He's got some blockers ahead of him, dancing around, pushed into the boards just across the 20 to the 21-yard line. It'll be 2nd and short.
Great rally by the Storm defense to cover that short pass and not really give up a lot of big yards. As you mentioned, the fact that they had some blockers in front, but when you have the whole defense rally, there wasn't a whole lot of space for Reed to go for it really far.
Reed, like Nick Davila, has missed a lot of time this season, a series of injuries. He's only played in a couple games. He is the X factor for this team, plays on both ends of the ball. Receiver is where he'll be most valuable. Davila's going to air it out. Windsor is there and almost intercepted. It probably should have been intercepted by 14 A.I. Phillips. Looks like it might have been a miscommunication. Not a lot of defense by Rod Windsor to try to break that up. It could have been a big interception.
If you're Phillips, I don't know how you drop that. I mean, that was a lame duck. And he read the post corner right. I don't know what Windsor was doing. He rounded off his corner route rather than running delivery. It went right into the hands of Phillips. I don't know how you drop that if you're a defender in arena ball.
Tampa Bay's secondary is talented, and they have not let anything open downfield. It's been a lot of quick hits. There's a screen out to Michael Benson. He completes it. Sheds a tackle, crosses midfield to the 20-yard line of the Storm. And a first down for the Rattlers. The big fella with the first credit union
The big
first
fella
down.
is rumbling and stumbling down the field. How about that? You know, getting that first down. Just a simple throw, but great heads up by Benson to hold on to the ball and protect the ball, knowing that somebody can come from behind and try to strip it.
And Rick J. Hill faked out by Michael Benson. Michael doesn't do that very often, but he's got some twinkle toes right there. There's an out route to Kerry Reed. Touchdown, Rattlers. The Latin Laser hits the Spartan Kerry Reed for the score. And the Rattlers retake the lead. A little post-corner out.
Definitely earned his nickname on that last play. The Latin Laser hit Reed in stride. Reed didn't even have to break down after he came out of his break. That ball was right in his hip pocket. He caught it and walked in. It was easy pitch and catch.
So just a couple quick plays of the Rattlers doing what they do. Offensive efficiency at its best. And the second touchdown of the game for Davila. First of the game for Kerry Reed. Fabrizio Scaccia, the extra point, is up and through, and he hits the deck, and he's holding his leg.
That's not a good sign.
He's holding his ankle.
I don't know how you don't have a roughing the kicker playing that, but.
Rise for your Rattlers.
You heard him. Everybody up on your feet, making lots of noise for your Arizona Rattlers.
2:45 left here in the first quarter. Jaron Cohen and Lincoln Kennedy here from Ak-Chin Indian Community Field, the U.S. Airways Center. Rattlers strike again, 14-7. They've scored on 2 consecutive possessions, Lincoln.
Well, you know what? It's still in the first quarter, and it's a good sign. They've seen some offensive rhythm, some consistency going. Now let's see if this Rattler defense can come over to stop on the Storm.
Kicking left to right is Fabrizio Scaccia. Seems to be okay after getting knocked over on that extra point attempt. That one's high off the net, played off the net, and rushing it downfield across the 10-yard line to about the 13 is Salmons. And it's good to see him back on the field. He had a little bit of a scare there early as he went low on a block and really hit the ground awkwardly, but he's back in the game, which is good to see. He carries that one out to the 13-yard line, 1st and 10 Storm with 2:30 left in the first quarter.
That's right, my friend. It is good to see him back in. Let's see what the Storm's able to do in this offensive possession. More importantly, let's see if the defense is able to come out with a little bit of fire in their belly because they got torched the last series.
This is true. Boltis, despite getting some pressure on him, is 3 of 4 for 35 yards and a score. Tolliver, the man in high motion. Boltis is going to throw it over the field, almost intercepted by A.J. Cruz. Boltis is on the ground once again. He did not look into the middle of the field once where Tolliver was wide open.
He eyeballed it because he was feeling the pressure. And there might have been a hand that tipped that ball to make it a little bit of a lame duck. But again, A.J. Cruz got a hand on it, a receiver and a defensive back. I thought he was going to be able to reel it in. He was in perfect position as a jack linebacker because at the snap of the ball, he ran to the flat just to guard against that type of route. Perfect position. He's got to come up to play.
Cruz is just perfect in that jack linebacker spot lately. He is short in stature. He is sneaky.
Yes.
And we've seen it multiple times where quarterbacks just don't know where he is. And
We're going to
before,
get delay of game on the offense here.
as the flag is down, we'll go down to the field.
Game. Offense number 16. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
So the 5 moves him back after the 5-yard penalty to the Rattlers, the Storm 8-yard line.
You were saying about A.J. Cruz.
Yeah, A.J. Cruz, I mean, just a couple times the last game we called, he's short. He's 5'8".
Right.
with cleats on.
Yeah, that's exactly, and a brick under him. That's true. I still don't see it.
And I think quarterbacks have trouble knowing where he is on the field. There's a pass over the middle to T.T. Tolliver. That should be enough for a first down just short of midfield. Jeremy Kellum in on the stop.
And that's what T.T. Tolliver is notorious for his entire career. Those crossing routes, great hands, comes up with the ball, sure-handed catch. As you were mentioning A.J. Cruz, the fact that he is short and he kind of blends in, gets lost behind that big defensive line, quarterbacks have a hard time seeing him. They're not necessarily looking for a jack linebacker in that space. They're trying to look the receiver and find an opening or to throw. But A.J. Cruz can come up with more picks than not because of his step.
And he was just a step behind that play as well. Boltis going to air it out to the back of the end zone, looking for Tolliver, overthrows him in the corner. Jeremy Kellum was there on the coverage. It'll make it 2nd down and 10 as we're just under 20 seconds left here in the first quarter.
Zone defense by the Rattlers that time. That's why Kellum was able to fall into that post corner route. Fortunately for him, that Boltis didn't have a great accurate pass. Threw it to the corner of the end zone, trying to give Tolliver some room to run in. But Kellum was in an ideal position to knock it down or play defense to force it a hard throw to get in there. So great defense by the Rattlers that time.
And they're going to let the clock run out. We've played one quarter here at Ak-Chin Indian Community Field at U.S. Airways Center. Rattlers on top of the Tampa Bay Storm, 14-7, back with the start of the second quarter after a short break.
Now, ladies and
Cohen and Lincoln Kennedy from Ak-Chin Indian Community Field at U.S. Airways Center. The Storm have the ball at their own 24-yard line. And penalties, a storyline here in the early going after one quarter, Link.
Yeah, Jared, a little bit sloppy in the first quarter, but it's one of those times where you're trying to just work out the nerves, work out the jitters, settle down, and let's see what happens for the next 3 quarters.
Right before the end of the quarter, the first connection for Jason Boldis to T.T. Tolliver for 17 yards to get a first down on 3rd down, and that's where we stand at the Storm 24-yard line. Boltis back to throw, feeling the pressure again, middle of the field, it's complete. Getting away from the tackle, Smith's tackle, and a touchdown for Philip Barnett.
Yeah, the critical error that Marcus Smith had on that last play, Jared, instead of just tackling and making short-handed tackle, Marcus tried to go for the strip, and he tried to get the ball out of his hands. And there's times when you're alone, you just have to take what you can as a defender, make the tackle, bring him down, live to play another day instead of giving up to TD. And
there might be something here brewing for Tampa Bay. A lot of their completions, minus 1 or 2, have been in the middle of the field.
They know they see a weakness in that defense, and it might just be there, isolating the man-on-man coverage, possibly getting a few yards after catch.
Extra point is up and good for Craig Peterson. We're going to keep it right here after the Storm score on the first play of the second quarter. So there's 14-16 left here at halftime. We're tied at 14. And the Storm are doing exactly what they need to do. They turned the ball over on their first offensive drive. They could have found themselves in a tough spot. But they've stayed, toe-to-toe with the Rattlers, answering and scoring in ways that they need to do to keep themselves in this.
Well, Lawrence Samuels, the head coach for the Tampa Bay Storms, is probably in this corner talking about, look, we're keeping pace with this team. We haven't fallen behind. The great thing is they get the ball to start the second half, the third quarter, and if they can keep touchdown for touchdown, punch for punch with Arizona, ideally, that's what you want to do as an arena football team. You want to put yourself in a position to maybe be able to win it. Don't let this game get too far in front of you too early.
And it's got to be the game plan each and every time you come into Ak-Chin Indian Community Field. You got to want to try. I mean, it's not like you don't want to score on certain drives, but you have to have the mentality that we've got to score just about every time we touch the football.
Well, that's the arena football model. That's the reason why the offenses, the game has been patterned to the offenses because they want to see high scoring, 70-63, 70-67, those types of games. You want to keep pace. But the thing is, you got to have the horses that do it. And if your defense fails you, gives up too many touchdowns, your offense doesn't keep pace, then they're in the bottom of the barrel looking up.
So Tampa Bay will kick things away, going left to right here now in the second quarter. A.J. Cruz back to receive. A.J.'s done a fantastic job on a couple kick returns so far in this game. And that one's going to bounce off the net. Cruz is going to pick it up. There's people all over him. He finds his way to slither away from a couple of the Storm players, dances around. A face mask is going to come in. And how about making something out of nothing? A.J. Cruz, who caught it and got it controlled in the back of the end zone with Storm players at the goal line.
Well, let's just hope that he's okay because that face mask was a tenacious face mask, and he's still down on the side. because he ripped the helmet off. The defender ripped the helmet off.
Number 8, kicking team. 10 yards added to the end of the run. First down, Arizona.
Ooh. Yeah, that's
a hard one, man.
That's a tough one. That's gonna mess with your neck a little bit. My back hurts just looking at it. He's gonna walk off just fine under his own power, and he has been, arguably the MVP of this team so far this season with what he's done on special teams and on defense. So you'd hate to see him go out for any extended period of time.
Like I said last game, I just love his attitude because there's no say quitting this guy. He's one of those guys that you can rely on to go in. No matter what you tell him to do, he'll run through a wall for you.
So after the return and the personal foul, the Rattlers into storm territory. Trips, post corner route to Kerry Reed once again. That's how they scored a touchdown. Spins away from a tackler and is in the end zone for 6. Kerry Reed's second touchdown of the game from the Latin Laser. One play, one score, 2014 Rattlers.
And just like on Kerry Reed's last touchdown on the last possession, Davila hit him in stride. When you're able to hit a big receiver in stride, you give him ample opportunity to make moves after and get yards after the catch, and that's probably as easy. You're probably going to have a touchdown tonight.
And they went right after James Harrell. That's the leader in the secondary for the Tampa Bay Storm. He was Defensive Player of the Week last week with his 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery. People around the Arena League say he's one of the candidates for the Defensive Player of the Year. The Latin Laser goes right after him for another score to Kerry Reed. The extra point is good from Scotcha. And with 13:01 left here in the second quarter, Rattlers back on top, 21-7. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football.
14
left here in the first half. Arizona Rattlers on top of the Tampa Bay Storm, 21-14 after touchdown number 2 in the game for Kerry Reed.
Kerry Reed is having a spectacular game, and how about Davila getting back to what we saw a lot of him last year and a lot of that old form that he's had in times past, hitting Kerry in stride for 2 straight touchdowns. This offense is in full rhythm now, bro.
Kerry Reed with his 10th and 11th touchdown on the season. As mentioned, hasn't played that much this season. This is just his 7th game of the year. Rattlers have played in now 10, so he's missed a handful of games. It's good to see him back in action. On the return right now, it's Salmons, and a nice return almost out to midfield. A.J. Cruz back in the game is able to make the shoestring tackle to prevent the score.
That was the case right down where the special teams of the Storm was able to force the special coverage team of the Rattlers out of their lanes and left a big old hole for Salmons to go up and get a big game.
So Jason Boltis back in at quarterback for Tampa Bay, and they've been, as mentioned the last couple times, they've been able to hang tough. They've answered each of the last 2 times. The Rattlers have scored. Can they do it a 3rd consecutive time? This will be a big one. High motion man is Salmons. They swing it out to the left. That's Barnett. A.J. Cruz is there along with Jeremy Kellum. A flag comes in, though.
They're going to get Salmons with another illegal chop block. You cannot go low on a defender like that. He's got to understand the rules because it's 2 penalties that's hurting his team.
And it's hurting him, too.
Yeah, he did.
It hurt him the first time.
You're right.
We'll go down to the field. Referee Scott Campbell.
Personal foul. Number 6, offense. Blocking below the waist. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still first down.
Yep, second time he's done that now. The first time knocked him out of the game with an injury. He's back in now. And he's trying to plead his case with Scott Campbell.
Yeah, well, Coach Samuels is trying to talk to him about it. The Salmons has got to know you got to be up high. If you go anywhere the waist are below, they're going to call it. It's an automatic penalty every time.
A lot of penalties in this game for both teams so far.
Yes.
With just over 12 minutes left here before halftime. 21-14, Rattlers on top of the Storm. High motion man is Salmons. Boltis going to air it out. That's Barnett. Coverage downfield, incomplete. There was some contact as the ball was coming in. Boltis is down. He thought he had a man. There's a flag down, though. Might have been a roughing the passer once again on the Rattlers. Let's go look at the replay.
We'll see what the replay is, but I think I think the case because they look to be marking out the Rattlers right now.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 94, defense, hitting the quarterback below the knees. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic, first down.
Yeah, and Boltis is a little bit shaken up.
You know, Jared, it's times like this where Coach Ewart and Coach Guy would be best-minded to talk to his team and say, look, This referee is really adamant about protecting the quarterback. We've only had 2 quarters of play, and I think we've counted either 3 or 4 calls where he'd say roughing the passer and hitting below the waist. So you got to be mindful when you're trying to push your guy in there, lay off the quarterback's legs or do whatever you can to avoid it once you see the ball gone.
And you could also add in the plays by Salmons going low
Certainly.
as well. They're watching the plays below the waist, which is good for the player's safety. Boltis is going to throw it out of bounds. Nothing was there. Good coverage downfield for the Rattlers, and that's going to make it 3rd and 10 now.
Another miscommunication that time on the Rattlers' point because both Brown and Cruz were covering the same receiver, Salmons, I think it was, while Barnett, who the intended receiver was wide open on the second level hitch route. So I'm not really sure what they're doing over there defensively, but they want to come together. Don't want to give up an easy touchdown if you're the Rattlers.
And a correction on my part, it's 2nd down now and 10 for Tampa Bay from the Rattlers' 23-yard line. Trailing 21-14, just under 11 minutes left here now in the 2nd quarter. Boltis, quick 3-step drop, connects to Tolliver across the 20-yard line in Rattlers territory to about the 17-yard line. It's just enough for a 1st down for the Storm.
That's another smart play by T.T. Tolliver. I remember when playing with him, that's what he did. Instead of taking a lot, he's notorious for going over the middle and making those hard catches, but he doesn't take a lot of hits because when he gets the ball, he tends to get down right in the middle or right where he needs to and not take any unnecessary hits.
Number 1, T.T. Tolliver in his 40s, as we mentioned, playing here today with all the youngins on the field. He has a couple catches now for the Tampa Bay Storm. They're going to swing that out to him as he was in high motion. That was kind of an old school arena football play right there.
That's exactly
hitting
right.
the guy in stride, a little bit delayed in high motion.
That's considered what they call an extended run because it's towards the sideline. You're hoping that you get it in the hands of one of your playmakers. They're able to make a move and maybe get some yards after the catch. But more importantly, you're keeping the clock going and you're getting positive yards.
That's shades of Hunky Cooper right there.
That
was a Hunky Cooper
there
play.
There you go. Nice.
I know my Rattlers history.
I'm not mad at you, bud. That's awesome.
I remember watching some highlights of Hunky Cooper hitting him before he gets to the line of scrimmage. Trips to the left. That's Gregory in the back of the end zone, and it's intercepted by Jeremy Kellum. What a play by the Rattlers safety, taking the ball away from Gregory in the end zone. Gregory's trying to say that ball was incomplete. Let's look at it. That looks good to me.
Looks good from that angle, but what's interesting to see is that the back judge has actually let him play a little bit because Kellum and Gregory had some contact when he went for his post corner option, and Kellum jumped the route in order to get in front of it, so good for him.
We'll take a break. 1st and 10 from their own 5-yard line for the Rattlers, trying to go up 2 scores after a short break. Is challenged by Tampa Bay. They're challenging if Jeremy Kellum held the ball all the way to the ground on that interception. The angle that they're currently looking at is kind of tough. There might not be enough evidence to turn this thing over, but it's currently a review here from Auction Indian Community Field. That's Lincoln Kennedy. I'm Jared Cohen here from downtown Phoenix. Rattlers are on top 21-14, and if this interception stands, we'll have the opportunity to go up by 2 scores here with still plenty of time left before halftime.
Well, they've got the big screen up on the big screen, which is on our smaller screen, and we still can't see.
We got a screen on a screen.
So
you think with all the views of a screen, then there'd be enough ways to see it. But
exactly. I don't see enough. That's probably your best angle, but I don't see anywhere where the ball comes out on the other side. Any brown showing, so I can't tell if it's inconclusive if you want to overturn it. I don't see any reason to overturn it.
Yeah, and I have a lot of trouble believing Scott Campbell's going to find anything there to be able to overturn this. If he does, that would be a big break for Tampa Bay. We'll go down.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Arizona's ball, 1st and 10. Tampa Bay is charged with a timeout and has 1 challenge left for the remainder of the game.
And as mentioned, probably just not enough evidence to turn that over. Jeremy Kellum with the interception for the Rattlers.
Great heads-up play by Kellum and undercut the ball when it was in the air. Get in front of Salmons, the intended receiver, or Gregory, I should say, Julius Gregory, the intended receiver for the Storm, and come over the interception. And now let's see if the offense can capitalize off it. As you say, get a little cushion before halftime because remember, the Tampa Bay Storm come out in the second half. They start with the ball.
For Jeremy Kellum, that's interception number 8 on the season. 8 in 10 games, that's not bad. So it'll be 1st and 10 Rattlers after the touchback from the interception from their own 5-yard line. Nick Davila at quarterback. He's got Deatter and Windsor to his right. Kerry Reed in high motion to make it trips. Going downfield, and that's underthrown, looking for Deatter. And something interesting that's starting to develop here is Rod Windsor without a catch. I don't even think he has a target yet in this game. And you think about a quarterback playing for the first time in 4 games, would like to connect with the guy that he knows pretty well to get into a rhythm. He hasn't even looked Rod Windsor's way yet.
Well, you know what? He's had some good history so far with Reed tonight. I agree. I think there was one play that he did look his way, but it came up incomplete. But some issues I think he's trying to have with Deatter is striking downfield and on a long throw. That's another time he's going up in the air for him.
Right on cue.
There it is.
And you're right. The other time he looked Windsor, should have been intercepted.
Right.
In that back pylon. That was also on cue, intended for Windsor and unable to connect. So A.I. Phillips doing a nice job on Rod Windsor, and we're looking at a 3rd down and 10 situation for the Rattlers.
And there's been a few situations where I think Davila has been forcing the throw rather than allowing the guys to come open. He's been trying to throw them open. That last play, Windsor didn't have any separation from Phillips. There was nowhere to go with the ball.
High motion man is Kerry Reed, and 2 to the left of Davila. And he dumps it off to Michael Benson. He's got room to run. The big fella crosses midfield and gets shoved into the boards at the Storm 20-yard line. Beautifully drawn up play right there for Kevin Guy.
What a great time by Coach Guy to have call a screen because there's Benson still down on the sideline.
He hit those pads really, really hard with how fast he was moving and the size he is, but he was chugging.
Well, it was a great screen call by Coach Guy because the Tampa Bay Storm were caught completely off guard. They had full rushers. Nobody was paying attention to Benson slipping out of the backfield. And when he caught the ball, if Benson would have made one guy miss, the guy ended up tackling him, R.J. Hill, then it would have been on for a score.
He got a mouthful of the boards at the end of that play. We'll take a break as they tend to Michael Benson. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. In the first half, Michael Benson was able to walk off the field under his own power. The question is, who's coming in now at running back? I believe initially the player that they brought out onto the field is Brennan Carvalho.
Yeah, Carvalho. It'll be interesting to see if he comes in as fullback or he comes in at offensive guard and move one or the other, either Dennis or Simmons. I think Carvalho's better suited for a fullback.
But you hope Michael Benson isn't out for an extended period of time. He has been an absolute monster, and he's really been key in this game as he has made big plays on crucial situations. The last couple of completions or receptions that he's had have come on 3rd down and much-needed yard situations.
You're right, Jared. There are some times as an offense where your rhythm is short throws, quick hitches, quick outs. In this case, in the arena game, it's screens and getting to your fullback because those are confidence builders. Those keep the chains moving. Those keep everybody moving forward. And that's what you like to see.
Benson came into today's game 10 touchdowns on the season, 4th in the AFL in rushing. He's a big piece. Wide open, Chase Deatter on the opposite side of the field. Touchdown, Rattlers. Miscommunication for the Tampa Bay Storm's defense, and Deatter with his 2nd touchdown of the game.
You're absolutely right. I don't know what type of defense that is, but you can't get more open than that. You know what I mean?
And the guy on that end of the field was A.I. Phillips, who's had a really nice game to this point. Chase Deatter with his 8th and now 9th touchdown of the season, and now an opportunity to make it a 2-score game is Fabrizio Scaccia. And the kick is through. 7:08 left here in the first half. Rattlers open it up by a 2-score lead, 28-14. For Lincoln Kennedy, I'm Jared Cohen. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. On top 28-14, and it'll be crucial for Tampa Bay to try to get some scores and string them together. They do get the ball to start the second half, and they want a position to tie the game or maybe take the lead when they're in that spot. They don't want to be trying to work back from a big lead, and that ball is a short line drive kick, initially misplayed by A.I. Phillips, but he holds on to it. And in the end, pretty good field position for the Tampa Bay Storm as they start 1st and 10 from the Rattlers, 11.5-yard line.
Not really sure what was the purpose of that. usually line drive kicks in the inside game don't necessarily bode well because it gets in the hands of the opposing player pretty quickly, and it gives them a chance to run. So I'm not really sure maybe it was just a mishit by Fabrizio.
And it almost worked in their favor because Phillips really mishandled it, but instead it is good field position for Tampa Bay. High motion man is Salmons. He's going to throw his way. It's complete. This time Kellum will bring him down across midfield to the Rattlers' 20-yard line. That single coverage, it kind of scares you with what happened to Smith earlier in the game and led to a touchdown. His missed tackle in single coverage. Kellum does a good job wrapping up, but a 1st and 10 for the Storm.
But in that time, Kellum understood that he got there too late, can't really make a play on the ball. Rather than have any further damage, you bring the opposing player down right there. Make the short tackle.
A nice completion right there for 18 yards. Boltis to Salmons. Trips right now with Tolliver in high motion. And that ball's knocked away, deflected. They're saying that's a live ball.
No, it's deflected.
It looks like the officials were still playing, but Cliff Dukes got his hand on that pass. There is a flag down on the play, though. Let's go down to the field. Scott Campbell.
Holding, number 19, defense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic, 1st down.
So a holding call right there on Marquise Floyd, which is tough because that
automatic
was a
first down.
3-step drop, and the pass was deflected. The ball wasn't even anywhere near there. Back judge not letting anything slide.
As I said before, this game is patterned to the offensive power and moving the ball as well as scoring. So that's a big penalty when you get automatic first down and yards.
It's going to be trips to the right of Jason Boltis with the high motion man Julius Gregory, and before they get a snap off, there's going to be a delay of game on Tampa Bay.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
And that, if anything, gives them a little extra room as they're deep in Rattlers territory, but self-inflicted wounds on both teams have been kind of the storyline here in the first half.
Well, if I'm Coach Samuels, I'm a little bit upset with that call because you didn't really give our team the setup. After you had the marked off the penalty, but the ball down, we were pretty quick to get up there. It wasn't a full 24 seconds that was gone by.
This is true. This is true. Trips to the right. Again, it's Gregory in high motion for Boltis. He's back to throw. Quick drop looking for Gregory. Incomplete. And he flips over the boards. It's one of my favorite parts of arena ball is those guys just flying into the crowd. But it's an incomplete pass, and there is a lineman that's slow to get up on the other side of the ball. Looks like he's okay, though.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting because it seems like all the offensive line of the Storm is getting pushed back into Boltis, and it seems to be a big collapse.
Gregory was able to get a hand on it, flips over the wall, but it was good coverage downfield for Jeremy Kellum, who's having a nice game. Already 1 interception in this game. Once again, it's trips, it's Tolliver in high motion. They're going to swing it out to Salmons, who's leveled by Marquise Floyd into the boards. Nice little Stanley Cup-esque hockey check.
There you go.
Into the walls by Marquise Floyd. Just a little over 4 minutes left here in the first half. Rattlers on top 28-14. And it's going to be 3rd and 13 now for Tampa Bay. And they don't want to give the Rattlers an opportunity to get up by 3 scores before halftime. That would not be good on the road here for Tampa Bay. Boltis back to throw. There's a flag on the play. It's incomplete. And I'm wondering if that's an illegal motion. That looks like a really weird setup right there for Tampa Bay. We'll see.
It might be because Coach Guy is declining it, so it might know that it's on Tampa Bay.
Illegal formation, offense, not enough men on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined, 4th down.
Yeah, and I noticed that from here. They had Tolliver all the way back in high motion, but they kept him back there, and they put Gregory in motion from the line, so they didn't have enough guys on the line.
Yeah, another miscommunication. It's one of those unfortunate incidents where the receiver's got to know where he's at, know that he's not on the line to cover up.
3.5 minutes left here in the first half, and we're going to get a timeout called for Tampa Bay as it's 4th and 13, and we'll take a break. 3:28, Rattlers on top 28-14. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. In the first half, it's been a long first half here in downtown Phoenix. Rattlers are on top 28-14. It is a 4th and 13 situation for the Tampa Bay Storm. Trying to get on the board, want to avoid their second turnover of the day. The first one came via a fumble. This one would be turnover on downs if they can't convert. High motion man is Gregory. Back to throw Boltus, looking for the end zone. Goes up high for Gregory, but he can't haul it down. Falls hard. That's concrete down there, folks. He falls down into the Rattlers bench. Incomplete, turnover on downs for the Tampa Bay Storm.
What a great defensive set by the Rattlers that time. And how impressed are you with the secondary of the Rattlers? The fact they were able to stay man for man, got decent pressure up front by the defensive front, but to apply pressure and force that throw, make it hard for Boltus to be accurate in the corner of the end zone.
There's no question. And something that I feel like they've gotten away from is the middle of the field. You know, that seemed to be something that they had working a little bit. You think you want a high percentage play on 4th down and 13. They didn't do that. They went to the back of the end zone to Gregory, and it didn't work in their favor. 2:50 now left here in the first half. Davila looking to really kick them while they're down. Connects to Rod Windsor, and he's knocked into the boards, but more than enough for a first down into Storm territory. To the Storm 17-yard line. First catch of the day for Rod Windsor.
And it's good to have Big Benson back in the backfield. He shows signs shaking off that earlier hit where he took it on the sideline. He's back in for the offense right now.
Gain of 20 on that play, as you mentioned. Good to see Benson back. And with 2:20 left, a fresh set of downs for Arizona. It'll be 2 to the left. The high motion man Deatter makes it trips. Davila back to throw. Quick check down to Windsor. 2 consecutive catches before not one catch to this point. Strides forward inside the 10-yard line, just short of a first down. It'll be 2nd down and 1.
You know what's great about that play, Jared, is that Windsor looked like he'd take a 3-yard catch and was going to be stopped for nothing, but he was able to split the defenders and get 8 yards out of it, an extra 5 yards. That's pretty impressive for the big guy.
Yeah, and it takes 2 guys to bring him down. You know, Kevin Guy loves those big receivers for that reason. He can throw it up high and get him up in the air, and he also likes him when he can dump it down and bulldoze him over. So with 1:30 left here in the first half, the Rattlers are in business. Trips again, it's Deatter. They're going to hand it off to Michael Benson, and there's a couple flags on the play. What would be this first half without a flag, right?
Of course. It wouldn't be the same, would it? Might be illegal defense, I think.
Holding, number 93. Defense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
So that'll make it a first down. With the 5-yard penalty, it'll put the Rattlers at the Storm 4-yard line.
You don't see that too often. Defensive holding by the defensive line.
On a running play.
And on a running play, nonetheless. But I guess, you know, there are times where you don't want as a defensive lineman, I can understand it. You don't want that offensive player slipping up to the linebacker at the next level, so you grab him.
1:12 left. Trips again to the left of Davila. Back to throw. Quick. Airs it up. Chase Deatter! Touchdown, Rattlers! The Latin laser with a little LeBron action for the celebration. That's a little LeBron mixed with Aaron Rodgers right there. Is that what I just saw?
Yeah, that's what I saw. It looked like a little discount double check, but you know what? He can't be stopped. More importantly, if you're A.I. Phillips, the defender for the Storm, it's impossible for you to stop that route. Deatter came off clean break, untouched, crossing route. There's no way that you can stop that.
After being in high motion, too.
Then have immediate timeout.
So it'll be a timeout after this extra point. 34-14 is the score. Rattlers on top. Fabrizio Scaccia in for the extra point. And the kick is up, and it's through. He's been solid. 35-14 after playing nose-to-nose for the first quarter. It's been all Rattlers in the second quarter. On top 21-7 over the course of this quarter, now with a 35-14 lead. We'll be back with the last minute of the first half. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. Blackhawks, so they're hoping to go 2-0 here today, and they'll have quite the uphill climb to try to do so here with this game being on the opposite end of the country.
I remember playing with the Tampa Bay Storm. We had to share the stadium with the Lightning, and back in 2007, the Lightning weren't too bad of a team. So there were a lot of times we were left on the outside, no pun intended, out in the cold practicing.
Out in the cold in Tampa?
In arena football, the reason why I say it's out in the cold is we didn't have a place to practice in the garage.
Ah, there you go. High off the net, controlled by Salmons. He's driven out of bounds at the 5-yard line, and he's fighting with a fan who's trying to take a ball from him. The fan wasn't giving up. Neither was Salmons. 1st and 10, Storm from the 5-yard line. And they need to score here before halftime because they would have the opportunity to score 14 unanswered with having the ball to start the second half, which is exactly what they need to do. They need to put together a couple of consecutive scoring drives.
And Coach Guy can be clever with the defense. He can keep you off the toes because he knows they're going to have to strike down the field quick. So he can do some zone man matchup, kind of disguise the defense, see if he can get a turnover. Let's see how Brown and Kellum, the guys, play in the backfield, defensive backfield. 1st and 10,
Storm from their own 5. Gregory and Summers and Tolliver. Tulliver was a high motion. That ball's deflected and incomplete. And Boltis is hit and knocked down again. It was Cliff Dukes that provided the pressure that time.
You know, when you're doing a 3-step drop, as in most arena calls, you have to be exceptionally stern as far as the offensive line. You cannot give that much. I'll credit McAdoo, Hawthorne, Dukes, Glasper pushing that offensive front back into Boltis' lap. He can't step in the throws. I saw many throws tipped tonight, and as you mentioned, that last one was tipped as well.
So now 2nd down and 10, 55 seconds left. Barnett, the high motion man. They'll swing it out, overthrown, incomplete, intended for Salmons. 2 quick incompletions, 3rd down and 10 for the Storm.
Well, that was a little bit of a sidearm throw that time, kind of a weird throw as it came out of Boltis' hand. It looked awkward when it came out. I'm not sure what the receiver saw is how you're going to be able to handle something like that.
52 seconds left, 3rd down and 10, Storm trailing 35-14 to the Rattlers. And if the Rattlers get a couple stops here, plenty of time left to try to score again before halftime. And there's a flag on the play.
We're going to get a false start. The Rattler fans making it hard. The 9th man's coming into play right there, Jared, making it hard with some noise. Offensive lineman can't hear. You got
half the distance to the goal. Still 3rd down.
Still 3rd down, 50.5 seconds left. Half the distance puts that ball at about the 2.5 yard line where it'll be 3rd down.
Oh, let's see what happens here. Let's see if they can come up with a big stop. Get this crowd even more rowdy.
Boltis has Salmons in high motion. He tries to connect with him over the middle, incomplete. That one right through his hands. Again, pressure on the quarterback. That time it was Michael McAdoo providing the pressure. 4th down and 12 for the Storm with 47 seconds left.
Well, Jared, you thought it was loud before. It's going to get even louder here, and they've got to be careful. The Storm don't want to give up a safety, but that last pass was a dart through the middle of the field. I'm not surprised that Salmons wasn't able to hold on to it because that bad boy came out humming.
Yeah, threw a fastball right down the pipe.
That's right.
4th down and 12. Boltis has time. He's going to air it out, and it's knocked away by Jeremy Kellum. What a defensive play. And a turnover on downs, a 4 and out for the Storm, and the Rattlers can try to get it in the end zone here before halftime with 43 seconds left.
Yeah, Boltis is kicking himself for that one because he went too late, allowed Kellum to catch up on the long crossing route. There was no way he could complete that pass. If he would have thrown it a couple seconds earlier, he might have came up with a catch, but Kellum with great recovery speed catching up with the receiver on the back end of the route.
And that's as good as I've seen the Rattlers defense all season.
I agree.
Between the pressure and the coverage downfield in the secondary, really put the pressure on the Storm. And because of it, another turnover for Tampa Bay. And the Rattlers can really blow this thing open now before halftime. High motion man is Windsor. Davila, quick throw, and it's caught! The touchdown machine, Rod Windsor, connects with the Latin laser, and the Rattlers make it 41-14 with 39 seconds left.
Well, I know that Tampa Bay Storm are having some difficulty slowing them down, but There have been a lot of players in the ear of Tim Shelley, defensive back. I'm not sure if he's blowing coverages or what he's doing, but he seems to not be able to get right, much to the fortune of the Arizona Rattlers, because they've been able to have pass plays and scored on.
Touchdowns in 24 consecutive games for the touchdown machine. That's Rod Windsor, a legend here in Arizona, and he does it yet again, his first of the game. Extra point is good. Kick is no good. The snap was good. The kick wasn't. So the first missed extra point of the game for Fabrizio Scaccia, but nonetheless, 41-14. Rattlers on top of the Storm. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. Salmons doing some dancing, nowhere to go. And with 34 seconds left, it'll be 1st and 10 Storm from their own 7-yard line.
Boy, McAdoo took a big hit on a crackback block by Julius Gregory, wide receiver for the Storm. See a little bit of attitude, feisty attitude. We'll see how much fight their offense has in them right now.
And they had 4 consecutive incompletions last time out. Was Tampa Bay. Boltis, he's 9 of 21 for 111 yards. 9 of 21. Rattlers have done an excellent job, as we mentioned, a combination of the pressure from the line and the coverage in the secondary, making the night tough on Boltis. He's going to throw a quick slant to Salmons, who tries to spin away from a tackle, gets across the 15, just short of a first down.
Great rally defense. How about A.J. Cruz getting him in there? Duke's coming back to make a hit. Tampa calls another timeout.
They call a timeout. They've got one left. They lost one of them because of the challenge they tried earlier on that Jeremy Kellum interception.
They should be out of timeouts, am I correct?
I think that's the first one they've used. And they used one on the challenge. They lost one on the challenge.
I thought they used another one this half. Samuels used this half.
Maybe.
What is that?
It means they have none left now. So with 21.9 left, it'll be 2nd down and 1 for Tampa Bay. Overall reactions in this first half, you got to give a lot of the credit to the Rattlers defense for giving the offense opportunities to put up some big points.
No doubt, and you're absolutely right. And how about the push? I've been impressed with the defensive front's push to the offensive backfield, making it hard on Boltis to step in there and to step into throws. More importantly, the defensive secondary has played some good matchup zone, matchup man defense to negate a lot of good throws. Great plays by Kellum and crew.
Boltis, Salmons in high motion. Has some pressure. That's Dukes, who slapped him across the face, and it knocked his helmet off.
Yeah, that'll get a roughing the passer every time.
Boltis just having a rough half. And that time, Cliff Dukes basically slapped him across the face mask.
Passer, number 9, defense. Contact to the quarterback's helmet. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic, first down.
It would have been 3rd and 1. Instead, it's an automatic first. And not on number 9, it's number 6, which is Cliff Dukes. That's the only negative in this half for the Rattlers, has been a lot of self-inflicting wounds with some of these penalties.
A little bit of sloppy play, but you know what? If you're Coach Guy, you'll take it, because I'd much rather have the tenacity. You just want your players to be smart, of course, but I'd much rather have the tenacity of you getting after the quarterback, getting after the ball carrier, than playing a little lame.
17 seconds left. Boltis is going to air it out. There's no one there except for Jeremy Kellum, who gets his 2nd interception of the game. With 12 seconds left in the first half, miscommunication between Boltis and T.T. Tolliver. And Jeremy Kellum has had a monster first half here for the Rattlers.
Well, obviously you say that Boltis is in the wrong, but you know what? Boltis thought he read corner, and Tolliver went post. Kellum read the eyes of Boltis, and that's how he was in that position for that interception.
And we'll see if the Rattlers will run anything here, try to score with 12 seconds left. They do not get the ball to start the second half. It is for the Storm. And it could be a big opportunity for the Rattlers really to put their foot down on the Storm before halftime.
Well, you've got to move the ball forward to gain at least some yards, or the clock will stop. So we're going to see them do something here.
Davila's back to throw. They'll quick it out. A quick out to the outside. That's Rod Windsor. And he's going to break it upfield. Has some blockers. Taken down just short of midfield, but a first down for Rod Windsor. And, man, that's one of the most underrated aspects of this game. When he gets the ball in open field, he can make some things happen.
We're also going to get a penalty downfield on number 93 of the Storm, I believe. Richard Kleebert. We'll see what the call is here.
Over. personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 93, defense. 10 yards added to the end of the run, automatic, first down.
So after the big play and the penalty, the Rattlers are all the way at the Storm 18-yard line. With 3 seconds left, they'll have one shot at the end zone.
Well, you got to keep your composure here, and that's just a frustration foul, trying to get an opposing offense off the field. They sort of a sloppy play that gets some big yards, but your mistake added on 10 yards to it.
For Davila, it'll be trips to the right. Chase Deatter in high motion. No, it's Kerry Reed in high motion, and someone moved early.
What would be the end of this half without a penalty? Slow it down just that much more, huh?
Why
partner?
not, right? Why
Yeah,
not?
Absolutely. It's hard.
Offside, defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot.
Kleebert
Still
again.
first down.
Kleebert wants to extend the half a lot
Apparently,
more.
Richard Kleebert doesn't want to go into the locker room at halftime. He's just keeping extending this thing.
3.3 seconds left, partner. You got to hold on, and if you're the Tampa Bay Storm, you got to find a way to stop the opposing offense, because right now your mistakes are inching them closer to the goal line without running any time off the clock.
So when the play starts here, it'll be trips to the right of Davila. Kerry Reed in high motion. Last play of the first half. Davila back to throw. 5 steps drop. Over the middle. Incomplete. There was some contact before the ball got there, but incomplete. No flag. And that'll do it for the first half. Rattlers all over the Tampa Bay Storms after 2. 41-14. We'll take a quick break. Then before the start of the second half, we'll have stats and get you ready for the second half. That's Lincoln Kennedy. I'm Jared Cohen. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. Time lead over the Tampa Bay Storm, 41-14 after outscoring them 27-7 in that second quarter. And as we look at the halftime stats, Lincoln, the biggest thing that jumps off the page, turnovers. As Tampa Bay was 0 for 2 on 4th down. They also had 2 interceptions in the first half, 4 total turnovers, and as a result, a 4-score lead for the Rattlers.
Well, that's the glaring stat. Also, the ones that I'm studying is the penalties. 10 for 59 on Tampa Bay's side, 7 for 51 on Arizona's side. A little bit of a sloppy game. I mean, I guess it could be a little bit be expected to some extent. But if you're Arizona Rattlers and you want to keep a rhythm and consistency going, you got the game well in hand. Don't slow it down by useless penalties. Tampa Bay's playing sloppy. That's probably one of the reasons their demise, they're in the situation they are right now. But they do get the ball to start the second half.
They do get the ball. If they want to chip away at that lead, they can start, and they'd have to do so in a hurry. Nick Davila, and we've been talking about him like crazy, but he's starting to work his way up to a lot of all-time charts. He is just, what is it? I did the math. He is 66 passing yards away from Raymond Filial for 9th all-time in passing yards. He's currently at He came into the game 26,307, and with 189 in that first half, he's now just 66 yards shy of that mark. Just another one of the accolades to add to the incredible list of things that Nick Davila has accomplished in arena football.
Well, I've got to be honest, I haven't been following his career that long, but you know what, based on what he did last year and seeing him pick up where he's left off, even with the interruptions and the games not playing consistently throughout the year, he still looks in midseason and late season form.
The kick is away from Scotcha, and it's played by Salmons, and he's taken down. Nice open field tackle there by A.J. Cruz, and Tampa Bay will take over 1st and 10 from their own 11-yard line. Tough first half offensively for Tampa Bay. Their quarterback, Jason Boltis, 10 of 23, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And he was roughed up quite a bit as the Rattlers were able to get into the offensive backfields and provide quite a bit of pressure.
Yeah, you're right, Jared. The defensive line, Dukes, Glasser, and crew have been able to push back the offensive front and get into Boltis' laps every throw he had.
High motion man is Salmons. He's been very active in this game. Makes the catch over the middle, gets to midfield. More than enough for a first down for Tampa Bay on their first play of the second half.
Credit the coach Lawrence Samuels. We're coming out with a quick throw, getting Boltis in some rhythm, and more importantly, getting the ball out of his hands quickly to where that pressure doesn't collapse on him.
And they had, I want to say, of their last 7 pass attempts, maybe it's their last 6 pass attempts of the first half, only one of them was complete and one of them was intercepted. So it's good to see them get something in rhythm. Now 2 in a row in rhythm, both the Salmons from Boltus, to kind of get that confidence back a little bit and get those chains moving.
Well, you've got the Rattler defense playing incredibly soft on the up receivers. That time the high motion distracted Floyd for just a second for Boltus to get the pass out to Salmons in the flat route to get a 7-yard gain.
And so it'll be 2nd and 8 or 2nd and 2 after the 8-yard gain.
8-yard gain, yeah.
High motion man again will be Salmons, who's been active in this game. Another quick pass to the outside. That one's to Gregory. Salmons goes high on the blocks that time. Went low a couple times that got penalties. That'll be just short of a first down as Tyree Glasper made the play.
You know, at least Salmons learned. I mean, you would think twice about throwing that play after the first 2 times, as you mentioned. 2 personal foul penalties by cutting the defender. He stayed up high, held onto his block, sustained his block. But how about the heads-up play for Glasper, getting over to that sideline so quick to make it only a 1-yard gain?
Yeah, he is very, very versatile, Tyree Glasper. He's the Mike linebacker. He normally rushes, but he can make plays out in the field as well. And they try to do a quarterback keeper to get that first down. And will it be enough for a first down?
It looks like enough to move the chains.
It'll be pretty close, and it is. So 1st and 10 Tampa Bay from the Rattlers' 15-yard line.
Oh, you don't trust me, partner? I tell you it's close
Hey, you know, I believed you. I never thought.
Just need confirmation. I get it.
I wanted the officials to give me the sign before I could, tout them,
I'm here. I'm here for you. I got you.
Tolliver, the high motion man. He runs up the middle. Now for a post corner route, touchdown completion. Boltus to T.T. Tolliver. I just happened to be following him all the way. He looked like he was a man on a mission on that route. And he completes the score, so a nice drive to start the second half for Tampa Bay. It's now 41-20 Rattlers.
You know how I told you in the past, the best route in arena football is the post corner? Well, no one does it better than T.T. Tolliver. He was one of the first persons that showed me that route is as dangerous as it is. And if you have a quarterback like Boltus who's able to hit him in stride as he's running to the corner, he's virtually unable to stop.
That's got to be a scary route to run, too, because you're like, I know I'm going to run into the boards. I just got to focus on making the catch. Extra point, no good. Extra point, no good right there for Craig Peterson. So with 11:23 left in the third quarter, Rattlers on top of Tampa Bay, 41-20. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football.
Marquise Floyd dance-off. Craig Peterson to kick.
So a touchdown for Tampa Bay makes it a 41-20 deficit for the Storm with 11:23 left here in this third quarter. Peterson to kick off, Cruz to receive as the Rattlers will go on offense for the first time in this half. And that one is
just
crushed.
A little outside.
It goes into the stand. Well played, my friend. Just a bit outside. When that ball went off his foot, I was like, that can't be on the playing surface. Touchback for the Rattlers, 1st and 10 from their 5.
For taunting against Tampa Bay will be tacked on 10 yards, first down, Arizona.
Now, here's what you have to remember in arena football. If it doesn't touch the net, it goes to the 20. But remember, Kleebert, the defensive tackle for the Storm, had a personal foul and sportsmanlike conduct penalty after the touchdown, the last touchdown, and so there's an extra 10 yards. So it marks it all the way back to their 20 on the opposite side now.
That's a third penalty, and it seems like the last 20 minutes.
Kleebert, he's killing the team right now, but he's got to pick it up.
High motion man is Windsor on the left. Davila, he's looking Windsor all the way. Back in the end zone. Touchdown, Rattlers!
And that's too easy right there.
The Latin Laser hits the touchdown machine for the second time in this game. Just floats it over the top. The MVP does what he does best.
That right there is too easy. That's about as easy of a pitch and catch. There was no distortion from the route. Straight down the field for one throw. As you said, nice touch to come up under the bar for a touchdown. That's an easy pitch and catch right there.
Second touchdown of the day for Rod Windsor makes it 47-20. Rattlers on top of the Storm with 10.5 minutes left in this third quarter. And Fabrizio Scaccia in for the extra point. He missed his last one before halftime. That one is good, though. And with 10:16 left in the third quarter, 48-20 Rattlers on top of the Storm. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. Downs number 20 and 21 on the season for Rod Windsor. And I'm gonna throw this out there. Rod Windsor, despite the quarterback carousel and missing the first couple games of the year, he's got to be an MVP candidate this season with the type of numbers he's putting up.
Well, you look at this Tampa Bay team, and as you mentioned, with everything that's been going on with this team, it seems to be the one constant. Mr. Scoring Machine has always been there when you need him, and that's a great testament to Coach Guy and his staff, and more importantly, this Rattlers organization. Three-time world champions. They need all their horses when they make that second half season push for the playoffs.
He's made his presence felt. He missed the first couple games. He's been in every game ever since. He's played with 3 quarterbacks, and one thing has remained the same. He catches touchdowns. 24 consecutive games with a touchdown. That includes the 3 he had in last year's Arena Bowl. Fabrizio Scaccia's kick is away, and Salmons is there to receive it. And he's hit hard. Nice tackle right there on special teams by Marcus Smith.
This is usually the time of the game, Jared, when a team is being beaten like Tampa Bay is. You have a few guys give up, and you know how much of a team game it is. Nothing becomes more evident to me of that aspect than when you watch special teams, because special teams is all about attitude. Sustain your block for a couple seconds if you're passionate about it. But if you just want to give up and go home, which it seems like the demeanor shows me, you're probably not going to get much out of it. And that's what happened in that special teams play right there.
9:50 left here in the third quarter. There's a completion right there. Staying on his feet is Salmons. Gets across the 15 before he's taken down by Tyree Glasper. And Marcus Smith, Boltis with a quick pass out to Salmons, and enough for a first down.
And now we see what Boltis and Coach Samuels are doing for Tampa Bay Storm. They're not going to have Boltis hold on the ball too long to look downfield. It's going to be short throws, yards after the catch, nitpick their way down the field.
Boltis is 5 for 5 so far in the second half. Takes about a 5-step drop this time. Middle of the field's complete to Salmons once again. He's wide open. Cross midfield, through past the 15, just short of the 10-yard line. Arkeith Brown brings him down along with Marquise Floyd. And it's a 1st and 10, fresh set of downs for Tampa Bay in Rattlers territory.
Way to fake me out, Coach Samuels. I thought you were going to nitpick down the field. That time you actually set up for a long throw. McAdoo came close to applying some pressure on Boltis from the backside, but came up short. Boltis to get rid of that throw over the middle. So wide open Samuels that had yards after the catch, even after he caught the ball.
So from the 12-yard line, 1st and 10 for Tampa Bay. Boltis now 6 for 6 here in this second half. Tolliver in high motion. We're going to throw a quick screen out to Gregory, who dives forward towards the 5-yard line. And at the end of that play, in a lot of pain is Alfred McCullough.
Yeah.
He is in a lot of pain, and one of his teammates said to get out there in a hurry. He left the line to be a lead block on that screen, and he might have been rolled up under. And he is in a considerable amount of pain right now.
Yeah, pulling to the short side of the field, that's an ankle. When people roll up on your legs, that's definitely an ankle. But the great thing the big guy did is he got down and stayed down, allowed the training staff to come over and get him.
So we'll keep things right here. Next home game for the Arizona Rattlers is June 20th against the Orlando Predators. That'll be a 5 o'clock kickoff. Our next game, Lincoln and I's next game on ESPN3, will be against Las Vegas on Saturday, July 11th. In between those, there will be a big matchup against Portland next week on the road. 7 o'clock kickoff Friday, a Friday night game, Friday Night Lights.
There you go.
Yeah, on June 12th, and then they'll head to Los Angeles on June 27th. There'll be a bye week in between the Los Angeles and our last game of the season, Las Vegas. As the training staff is still attending to Alfred McCullough, the offensive lineman. You got those big guys with those lower leg injuries. It's hard to get them off the field.
Yeah, mainly because your training staff is usually shorter than all of us combined.
You ever run into a situation like that?
Well, yeah. Well, I found myself one time trying to limp off the field and trying to be carried by a guy. My trainer was about your size, even smaller, and I found myself putting my hand on top of his head to try to, before some of the players came over to help. But that's the thing, when your players try to carry you off, you got to make sure you have someone that's tall enough. There weren't any guys that I played with who were as tall as me.
That's a tough situation to run into. And McCullough, 6'2", 320. An Alabama offensive lineman, we mentioned in the first half, with a lot of guys in the trenches that played at major colleges, major programs.
I will say this, as much as I hope he's okay, if he's 320, I'm 240, because that, my friend, is a little bit bigger than 320. But you know what? Hopefully he's okay.
So it was a gain of 6 on that play for Gregory. 2nd down and 4 from the 6. So the first down marker at about the 2-yard line for Tampa Bay as they'll get back started here. 2nd and 4 with 8:15 left here in the 3rd quarter. It'll be Barnett in high motion with trips to the left of Boltis. He's going to air it out to the corner of the end zone. Caught by Barnett, and he holds on. Touchdown, Tampa Bay Storm.
Yeah,
nice play.
Jamarcus Hardick, who came in for the Andrew McCullough, it was blocking McAdoo there. He's going to get he thrusted him into the quarterback.
Roughing the passer, number 90, defense.
That play be declined.
That penalty be enforced on the first play after the kickoff. Try for point.
That's Michael McAdoo.
Yeah, roughing the passer. He thrusted him into Boltis on the backside and roughing the passer. As we said before, this ref is not playing around when it comes to hits on the quarterback. He's going to protect his legs and protect him from late hits.
And Boltis has just taken a beating in this game. He really has. The defensive line of the Rattlers really exploiting the Storm's offensive line, and it's hurting Boltis as a result. The snap is good. The kick is no good. But the kicker is down, and now he's holding his knee. McAdoo was in the vicinity, but they say no harm, no foul. Extra point, no good. 2 consecutive misses for Craig Peterson on extra points makes it 48-26 Rattlers with 7:45 left in the 3rd. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. That's Lincoln Kennedy. I'm Jared Cohen from Ak-Chin Indian Community Field at U.S. Airways Center in downtown Phoenix. Rattlers on top of the Storm, 48-26. With 7:45 left in the 3rd quarter. Peterson to kick, Cruz to receive. Cruz has done a nice job returning kicks here today. And that one is high, and that will stay in play. Cruz plays it off the nets, has some blocks and some space up the middle. He's on the go, crosses midfield, trying to shake some tackles. Couple guys get him, taken down just short of the 15-yard line of the Storm, but the best of the day return for A.J. Cruz.
Oh, now he goes after the kicker and gets a penalty.
And we'll look at the replay to see what happened at the very end. It looks like the kicker, Peterson, came in at the end.
Peterson came in over the top, trying to pry the ball loose, still trying to wrestle with Cruz on the bottom of the pile.
And Cruz saw red at the end of that play.
Yeah, how about that?
So we'll see what Scott Campbell and company come up with here. That penalty could negate a pretty fantastic run, the best of the day for A.J. Cruz on special teams. Great blocking. He had a
nice hole.
A huge hole.
Yes, he did.
To part through.
And great heads-up running because his going from side to side created some room, able to get some blockers in front of us as well,
A lot of penalties in this game.
A lot of penalties in this game. And now it seems indecisive what the ref crew are going to call. The main thing that you remember is you'll always get caught retaliating.
The personal foul roughing the passer penalty will be enforced 10 yards from the dead ball spot. After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 7, Arizona. That penalty will be enforced as well, 10 yards. Arizona's ball, first down.
So the ball will go from the 13-yard line of the Storm all the way to the 14-yard line of the Rattlers.
There you go.
Completely flips fields.
Absolutely. 2 personal foul penalties to do that to you.
And Normally that could be a game-changing play, but the Rattlers still cling to a solid 22-point lead. But you don't want to take your foot off the gas. Still plenty of time left in this one. They'll pitch it out to AJ. They want to give him a shot at redemption. And he gets across midfield. More than enough for a first down on the pitch from Davila to Cruz. I think there might have been something to that. Let's get the guy out there and get some of that rage, take it out on the Storm defense.
You know what, give him a chance to a little bit of redemption. You know, it's a good heads-up play by Coach Guy and a great execution by Davila. What's always interesting about that one is the quarterback has to take the snap, and it's almost like a two-hand pitch.
Hot potato.
Exactly, to get it out there. So you got to make it also catchable for your receiver to catch it and keep running.
Under 7 minutes now, 1st and 10 Rattlers just across midfield. Davila's, he's going to touch it out over the middle. That's Cruz again. Oh, dives but can't haul it in. Incomplete. Trying to get Cruz involved on this possession. Almost had him there for a touchdown. Great touch on that pass from Davila. Just couldn't haul it in.
Just a little bit too far from Nick and AJ Cruz. And what Cruz has to remember as a receiver, it's better to run under the ball than try to launch, because you usually come up short when you try to launch yourself. Run up under the ball, keep your feet up under the ball, pushing until you absolutely have to level out.
Yeah, wide receiving 101 from Lincoln Kennedy.
That's
good stuff. Versatility. Davila hits Kerry Reed, and now he's going to try to get away from a tackle before he's driven out of bounds by Harrell. But it'll be 1st and goal, Rattlers from the 10-yard line. Kerry Reed having a very nice game here today. That's his 5th catch now. He has 2 touchdowns already in this game.
And how about the pass by Nick Davila, putting right on the money, as I said, keeping Kerry Reed in stride, giving the receiver the option to go both ways with the ball after you catch it, and that's what Nick did, and able to get a couple extra yards after the catch.
And he got across the 10-yard line on that play, so it's 1st and goal from the 8 are the Rattlers after that completion by Kerry Reed. Cruz in high motion. Davila to the center of the field, almost intercepted. He was looking Kerry Reed all the way. A.I. Phillips was eyeing the quarterback and almost came away with a pick.
Dexter Jackson was playing jack linebacker on that play, and he was able to, it seems like he was able to get up in the air a little bit. And it's a difficult throw whenever you throw those quick slant routes over the middle, because there's so many guys involved, especially in a 3-man game. The 8-man game, I should say. So many guys involved in that secondary. It's hard to find a hole to pass in there.
So it'll be 2nd and goal now from the 8 for the Rattlers. And it'll be trips to the left of Davila with Kerry Reed in high motion. A little 5-step drop. He's going to throw it to the outside to Cruz. He's going to shake some tackles. It takes about 4 guys to finally bring him down, but there is a flag on the play.
I think they're going to get offensive pass interference on AJ for pushing off on this one.
He's a feisty guy.
He is.
Not afraid of a little contact.
Even if he orchestrates it.
Yep.
Pass interference, number 1, offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, still 2nd down.
And that penalty actually on Rod Windsor.
Oh, so Rod Windsor orchestrated the contact. Okay.
And that'll put the Rattlers back to the 18-yard line on the 10-yard penalty. Nick Davila, 16 of 25 for 237 and 7 touchdowns in this game.
And we're not even through the 3rd quarter yet.
We've got plenty of time left, 4:12 to be exact. Still trips. Cruz still in on offense for Chase DeAdder. Davila's going to step up, throws to the back of the end zone, incomplete. That played off the net. That would have been live, right?
Yes, it would have been live, and Nick Reed has to be more careful. He can't be frustrated that the throw didn't come to him. He's got to know that ball off the net is a live ball.
And that would have been an interception if he was able to haul it in. Yeah. James Harrell.
Correct.
He had 2 last week. It could have been his 3rd in 2 games. But instead, 3rd and 18 now for the Rattlers with 3:40 left here in the 3rd. Davila just 22 yards away from being 9th all-time in passing yards in AFL history. Over the middle, nice defensive play right there by Phillips. Looking for Kerry Reed at the goal line. Fans wanted the contact before the ball got there, but there's no flag. And now it's 4th down and 18.
Kerry Reed has to be more deliberate when he's coming back for the ball. That time he kind of rounded it off. If he would have taken a hard step and came back, it would have been right in his breadbasket. Great play by Davila. Just could have been a little bit more accurate with the pass, but Kerry Reed should have called it.
So instead of taking the 3 points with the 22-point lead, they're going to go for it on 4th and 18 with 2:45 left here in the third. And it looks like someone might have jumped early.
We're going to get delay of game. I don't think they got it off in time. Oh, they got him a hard count. They did, huh? Wow, I'm impressed.
We'll see who moved early.
Ball start. High motion, man. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still 4th down.
So the high motion man.
That's a 10-yard penalty? False start is a 10-yard penalty? Is that what he said?
High motion, man, 10 yards.
So on the high motion man, if he moves too early, that's a 10-yard penalty. Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
We'll have to pull up the rule book here.
Exactly.
Scott Campbell teaching us a little something.
Wow, didn't know that one.
So that moves them all the way back to the 23-yard line of the Rattlers. So they're going to have to air it out deep. That's what they do. Rod Windsor is there. Good coverage. Wasn't exactly looking back at the ball, but incomplete.
And unlike the big field game, partner, I don't think you have to have your head turned around to look back at the ball in this game. I'm not sure. And there's no such thing as face guarding anymore in either game.
And that looks like good coverage. I got to give it to it. Tim Shelley the second.
The crowd thinks
nice
otherwise.
Play and a turnover on downs.
The ninth man thinks otherwise.
As well they should.
Yeah.
And Rod Windsor thinks otherwise as well. But either way, the Storm now 1st and 10 from the Rattlers' 22-yard line and a chance to capitalize. And it looks like all 3 receivers moved too early on that one.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
The receivers were on the same page. I don't know if it was them or the quarterback that was off, but this looks like it'll be a false start.
Offsides, number 90. Defense in the neutral zone causing the offense to false start. 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
So Michael McAdoo is called.
A little bit of a sloppy play going on right now. A lot of penalties going out there.
Can't take your foot off the gas if you're the Rattlers. You do have a nice lead, but the Storm is playing with a lot of confidence right now. They've scored on their last 2 possessions. And Boltis has been in rhythm. Trips to the right. He's back to throw, has some time, airs it out, short. Might have been intentional as there was good coverage downfield by Kellum on Gregory.
Well, again, that pocket is collapsing on the offensive front for the Storm. You know, Coach Samuels will be mindful to get back to those quick hitches, quick passes, take what the defense gives them, try to knack this way down the field rather than have his quarterback stand back and take a beating.
We've seen it quite a bit. Boltis, because of the pressure, is just drifting back. You know, he'll have his 2, 3-step, 5-step drop, but he won't stop there. He'll keep just drifting back. That's the result of the pressure.
Yeah, because he can't step into the throw.
He throws, knocked away. Nice play right there. McAdoo provides the pressure. They're calling it a live ball. No whistle is blown, and it's a touchdown.
I don't know how his arm was going forward. So
it sure looked like his arm was going forward.
I don't know how the ref missed that because he was standing back there, but it'll be interesting to see what they call.
Forward pass, 3rd down.
That's better. At least his friends, comrades are there to help him out.
I mean, it is good for the officials if they don't hear a whistle blown to keep playing like the players are supposed to do.
Very true. Very heads up. Yeah,
if they don't hear a whistle, the players should keep blowing until they hear a whistle. It was pretty loud in here after a couple controversial calls.
And players are taught that. You play into the whistle. You know, don't take anything for granted.
And it's good to see a referee to do the same.
Absolutely.
So an incomplete forward pass. That makes it 3rd and 5. We're under 45 seconds left here in the third. T.T. Tolliver, the man in high motion. Boltis back to throw. He's going to throw it to Tolliver. Knocked away by Kellum. Ball was thrown behind Tolliver. And it's now 4th and 5 Under 30 seconds to play here in the third.
Yeah, and Tolliver is mad at Boltis because he had the corner route wide open. As you mentioned, it was thrown behind him. If he had put it on the money and the timing was there, it was a surefire touchdown.
The Storm had some momentum going into this drive. And Boltis is going to call a timeout.
Oh, it's the end of the quarter.
Oh, nope, that's the end of the quarter. Wasn't looking at the clock. So we've played 3 quarters here, and there's going to be a big play to start the fourth. 48-26. It'll be 4th down and 5 for the Storm when we return. That's Lincoln Kennedy. I'm Jared Cohen. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. Chin Indian Community Field at U.S. Airways Center in downtown Phoenix. The Rattlers on top of the Tampa Bay Storm, 48-26. I'm Jared Cohen alongside Lincoln Kennedy. And as we start the fourth, big play upcoming for Tampa Bay if they want to try to continue the little comeback that they're on. Down by 22, 4th and 5. Here, a big 4th down play.
Now, you promised me there wasn't going to be a whole lot of math tonight, but it seems like that's ever-changing with these scores. And the fact is they can make a little bit dent into that 22-point cushion they've got right now, the Rattlers. More importantly, it could be a great testament for the Rattlers defense to come over to stop and get off the field and turn over the ball here.
And at halftime, and it's still the case, Tampa Bay was 0 for 2 on 4th down. They'll try to get on the right side of that instead of going 0 for 3.
Now he's listed as a tight end, but number 50, Hardwick, has been struggling out there with McAdoo and people over him. So let's see if he's able to hold up at the point to see if Tampa Bay can get this first down.
High motion man is Sammons. Back to throw is Boltis. He's going to air it out. Caught, touchdown. Then deflected, and then caught again by Gregory. What a bizarre play. They're calling it a touchdown. There's a flag down on the play.
There's also a flag in the backfield, too, so we'll see if it's coming back. It might be holding.
This is a bizarre play. Gregory catches it. It's tipped up in the air. He comes down with it, cradles it, and then Kellum takes it away.
Well, you only get credit for 1 touchdown, so you can't catch it twice for 2.
Yeah, and you can't get – there's only 1 ball, so you
exactly.
can't have 2 touchdowns and an interception
That's
on
exactly
1 play.
Right. But we'll also see there's a penalty in the backfield. I think it was, as I was mentioned, Hardwick who came in for injury on the Storm. I believe he was called holding McAdoo, but I'm not sure if they called it or what they called it, but there is a yellow flag in the backfield, offensive backfield.
And these officials don't have the luxury of being able to look at a replay here, so right. This will be impressive if they put this on together.
A touchdown. The DPI, pass interference on number 21, defense, that penalty be declined. After the play was over, personal foul, number 50, Tampa Bay. That penalty will be enforced on the first play after the kickoff, try for point.
So Scott Campbell explained it all.
Who was that play on? There's no 50 for Tampa Bay. So it had to be McAdoo.
It's Jamarcus Harding, the one that you were talking
okay.
about that had just come into the game.
I see.
So then sportsmanlike that'll be assessed after the kickoff for the Rattlers, but before that, a touchdown for Julius Gregory, his second of the game, and they'll go for 2 to make it 48, to try to make it 48-34. Nice play by A.J. Cruz. He almost intercepts it on the 2-point conversion attempt, so it's no good. So with 14:27 left in this game, Storm are making it interesting. 48-32, Rattlers on top. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers for the fourth quarter. The Storm have closed the gap a little bit. 16-point lead for the Arizona Rattlers, 48-32. Still a lot of time left, 14:27 left, but the Storm have scored on every possession they've had here in the second half, and Lincoln has brought them right back into the game somewhat. It
is, and it's given them a little bit of momentum, and now we have to see how the offense responds here for the Arizona Rattlers. The thing is that you have a team down, you still have a comfortable cushion, but you want to keep your foot on the gas pedal, don't let up, and score points.
Peterson set to kick it away, Cruz back to receive. Cruz had his best return of the game, his last return, but it went all the way back the other direction after an unsportsmanlike penalty. And an onside kick, it hits a Rattlers player, and goes out of bounds.
That's exactly what you want to do, but I don't think the Tampa Bay Storm were really prepared for it because their players are running so fast that even if it was a ricochet back to them, they wouldn't have been able to handle it.
So
Tacked on half the distance to the goal. Arizona's ball, first down.
I was wondering when they were going to apply that. So because of it, half the distance to the goal as the ball went out of bounds at the 10, it puts them at the 5-yard line. And you say it every time, like, just because they're at the 5 doesn't mean it's easier to score. It's only an 8-yard end zone, only goes about 8 yards deep. You have those big truss stands and nets in the background there. Not a lot of room to work with. It's not necessarily easy to score. However, touchdown Rattlers.
When in doubt, just give it to your big receiver, DeAtter, and have him run in, right?
Third touchdown of the game for Chase DeAtter as they threw a little quick screen to the outside. He powers his way through, and it's 54-32 Rattlers with 13:45 left in this game.
It's just that simple. You take off what? It wasn't even a minute. It came off the clock before that score. Hit him real quick.
Yeah, but that totally changes the complexion of a game because the Storm, despite the deficit, had all the momentum.
Certainly.
And the Rattlers on just one play able to put it right back into the end zone. Fabrizio Scaccia in for the extra point. Boyd controls the snap. The kick is good. 13-19 left in this one. 55-32 Rattlers. That's Lincoln. I'm Jared. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. Left here from downtown Phoenix. Arizona Rattlers on top of the Tampa Bay Storm, 55-32 after Chase DeAtter's fourth. I shorted him one. Fourth touchdown of the game. He has 4 touchdowns on 5 catches. That's efficiency right there.
Don't be stealing Chase's thunder, man.
It's been Chase's night.
That's right.
4 touchdowns.
That's been the Rattlers' offensive night, having 55 points over the score and spreading the ball around between Reed, Windsor, and DeAtter.
And high off the net for Scaccia. Salmons goes hard into the boards, short of the 15-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for Tampa Bay, who has scored. They've done their job on offense. They've scored on each of their possessions here in the second half. They actually won the third quarter 12-7 despite 2 missed extra points.
And we can be critical, we can be harsh on the defense when they give up a touchdown, but the fact is they've got a comfortable cushion, and they're not making it easy for Tampa Bay to score. Sure, you give Tampa Bay some credit, but it is an offensive momentum game, an offensive style game. So the fact that Arizona has been able to slow them down from scoring as easily as they have on offense is a credit to the defense.
T.T. Tolliver, the man in high motion. There's a flag down, so it might be a free play. And Boltis is just going to run it himself. Keith Brown slams him to the deck. But a solid pickup for Boltis there. We'll see what the flag is.
Should be illegal formation on the offense.
Illegal formation. Offense. Tight end was covered up. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still first down.
So the penalty on the offense negates the little scamper from Boltis. And that'll put Tampa Bay at their own 8-yard line. 1st down and 15.
Kind of a weird play. I don't see really many one-man routes. That time Boltis was eyeballing his man all the way downfield. Of course, he didn't open up. That's why he scampered. But you don't ordinarily see that. Somebody's got to declare.
Only 2 seconds left on the game clock. They got to get going in a hurry. They just get it off in time, and because they were rushed, Keith Brown able to get in front of that pass, incomplete.
A little bit of miscommunication, I guess, with the injury to McCullough and having Hardwick come in there. Moore sometimes has got to play tight end. He's one of the normal starters, but I'm sure he's used to being the strong side guard rather than the tight end. He's got to know when he's on the formation. Sometimes he's going to be the tight end. He has to raise his hand.
And Dukes is giving Hardick all he can handle there on that right side. And another miscommunication between Boltis and Tolliver that time. And quickly, it's 3rd down.
Seems a little momentum slide because they haven't really able to get anything going through this drive. I mean, they've been trying some quick throws, but there's been some miscommunications. The penalty of miscues. It's just been a bad drive so far for Tampa Bay.
Third and 15, 10:52 left in this game. Trips to the left. No flag. It looked like a couple defensive players moved. Gregory is deep, and he makes an incredible catch for the touchdown.
You're right about that,
touchdown of the game for Julius Gregory. What a play.
What a play for him to fall back and have it sit right into his bread box as he cradled and fell into the end zone. That was a great play and a great catch.
He had a step. The ball was slightly underthrown. And he just sticks with it, falls down with it, rolls into the end zone for a score. And with 10:15 left, the Rattlers' lead is cut to 55-38. And again, Tampa Bay will go for two to try to make it a 14-point game. High motion man is Gregory. Trips to the right of Boldis. Throws it up. Gregory catches it. What a game he's having. Julius Gregory makes the play, 2-point conversion good, and with 9:52 left in this game, it's a 2-possession game. It was once a 4-possession game for the Rattlers, now cut to a 14-point, 55-40 lead for Arizona. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers in this game, and it's only a 14-point game as Tampa Bay has outscored the Rattlers in both quarters here in the second half so far. 12-7 in the third and now 14-7 here in the fourth, and there's still 9:52 left. Plenty of time for Tampa Bay to really come back in this game.
Yeah, and if you're Arizona, you know, I think if Coach Guy's strategy, I know you want to score. You might play the short field game if they try for an onside kick. You really don't have much choice. But you also want to try to find a way to keep this clock moving. You don't want to get anybody hurt. The more times you have the plays out there, the more chance you get somebody hurt. So you want to try to keep the clock moving.
And Peterson will just kick this one away. And it hits that Casino Arizona sign, so it'll be a touchback. And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Rattlers at their own 5-yard line.
Now we'll see how my strategy pans out because Coach Guy wants to keep the clock moving, wear off some of the time, give his defense a little bit of a rest. Sort of an arduous series, if you will, that last one with that Hail Mary going up to score the touchdown and negate all the hard work that they put in there. But this now you want to find a way to keep the clock moving.
Craig Peterson better get off the field. He's just taking his time, the kicker, to go get the kick tee.
Damn kickers. Always getting in the way.
Got something against kickers.
I can't stand kickers.
Davila wide open, Chase DeAdder, the 5, touchdown. 5th touchdown of the game for Chase DeAdder.
So much for running time off the clock when you throw it to a wide open man.
Luckily, the clock runs between touchdown and extra points, so they are taking a little time off the clock.
I have no idea what the Tampa Bay Storm were doing on defense. There is no reason a stationary wide receiver should be that open in the middle of the field. Absolutely no reason.
They must not have heard the ball hikes or something, but he just ran untouched the length of the field, and it's 61-40 Rattlers with under 9 minutes now left in this game.
There wasn't even a receiver to deter his moment. I mean, a defender to deter his route from the start. He was untouched the entire play.
Extra point is good for Fabrizio Scaccia, and with 8:34 left in this game, 62-40, Rattlers on top of the Storm. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. 40 Rattlers on top of the Storm. Jared Cohen and Lincoln Kennedy from Ak-Chin Indian Community Field at U.S. Airways Center in downtown Phoenix. Rattlers looking to go 8-2 on the season, as the Storm trying to convert a little bit of a comeback here, but they might be running out of time. Trying to get to 500. They're 4-5 on the season. Scaccia set to kick it away. Salmons back to receive. Plays it off the nets. He'll go to the outside, and he's upended and hit hard by Marcus Smith.
Oh, Marquise Floyd made a great tackle that time, going up high while Smith went down low, and you saw the combination hit on the replay, my friend. That is a good sound tackle right there.
Nowhere you can go if you're Salmons, and it's 1st and 10. If he just let that go, it could have been less painful if he just took a knee. They went the same amount of distance if it was just a touchback.
But you can't take a knee here. You got to run it out because it is considered a safety. You got to always make progress on the opposite side of the field.
Always got the rule book right in front of you.
Well, that's what I do, baby.
Yes, sir. So it'll be 2 to the left, 1 to the right of Boltis. T.T. Tolliver in high motion. Boltis going through his progressions, looking for a man downfield. Wanted a flag is Barnett. Marquise Floyd on the coverage.
Marquise Floyd tried to come over top and make a play on that ball and knock it away. Great heads-up play by him.
So make it 2nd and 10. On this end of the field, it seemed like Tampa Bay is really struggling to.
Well, that's what I said. You know, after that last series, it was sort of arduous by the defense to give up that last play, that kind of Hail Mary, if you will, that fell in the breadbasket. Great play for Tampa Bay, but for the most part, the defense had them stopped and stymied.
Barnett, the high motion man. Back to throws Boltis. Middle of the field, there's A.J. Cruz again, deflecting that one. And I'm just convinced that quarterbacks just can't see him, and he just pops up out of nowhere, makes that deflection, and Boltis took another shot.
And you're going to get another roughing the penalty. Roughing the passer penalty.
Foul, roughing the passer, number 77, defense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic, 1st down.
And that one's on Antaj. He's had a couple of those here today. And it's an automatic 1st down. They move it to the 15.
You know, that last play, aside from the penalty, Keith Brown had a great drop on Boltis with his read. And if Cruz didn't hit that ball, it would have been a surefire pick.
So it's going to be trips. Nope. T.T. Tolliver fakes me out. 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Flushed out of the pocket is Boltis. He's going to throw it downfield, incomplete, intended for Emory Salmons, and there's a flag down. Fans didn't like it. They're trying to figure out what it was.
Well, I think this might be a tic-tac foul if they call roughing the passer again. And the reason I say ticky-tack is because it was just guys didn't even make contact with him, per se, in a roughing manner.
There's no foul for Jack out of the box. The quarterback was running and out of the pocket.
Okay.
2nd down.
So they got the Jack out of the box. I was worried when I saw the flag go down. I'm like, if they're going to protect the passer again, he was out of the box.
That's just momentum, right?
Yeah, very true, very true. Just momentum.
So it's just an incomplete pass. 2nd down and 10. 6.5 minutes left in this game. 62-40. Rattlers on top of the Storm. It'll be T.T. Tolliver in high motion with 2 to the right of Boltis. Back to throw is Boltis. He's going to throw it downfield. That's T.T. Tolliver. Goes up. Knocked away by Jeremy Kellum. He's had a fantastic ball game. And deep in the defensive backfield. And it's 3rd and 10 Storm with just under 6 minutes left.
Now, again, it's another one-man route. T.T. Tolliver with a high motion has a post corner option because he has the bulk of the field to him. With the ball being on the right side, the short side hash, the left side of the field is open for him to do his post corner route. That time, Boltis didn't have a very good pass. Didn't have enough zip on the ball to get it in there, and that's why he hung up there a long time to allow the Rattler to make a play.
A nice defense by Tolliver on that play to get in the interception, get in the way of the interception. Boltis, nowhere to go, gets leveled by A.J. Cruz, and then the ball's almost intercepted on the other end of the field.
Went through 2 Rattlers' hands, defenders' hands. Keith Brown and Kellum. You don't see that too often. More importantly, you don't see Boltis, a quarterback, making a critical error like that.
And he had to get rid of it because A.J. Cruz came downfield like a freight train.
Yes, he did.
And leveled Boltis as he was getting rid of that football. 5 minutes left in this game, 62-40. Rattlers on top of the Storm. It's 4th and 10.
Yeah, they're not going to get this play off. They're going to have to call a timeout.
Yeah, there's just 7 on the game clock, and they're going to call a timeout. That's their first of the second half. big play. This could be the nail in the coffin if the Rattlers get a stop. We'll take a break. 4:46 left. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. Big play in this game. Rattlers could all but seal it with a stop right here. 4th and 10, up 62-40 over Tampa Bay with 4:46 left. High motion man is Sammons, and there's a flag, and it looked like someone moved too early.
Be a false start against Gregory Sammons, or Julius Gregory, I should say.
It's already 4th and 10. This would make it 4th and 15 if it is, in fact, on Tampa Bay.
High motion man was offside. Offense, half the distance to the goal, still 4th down.
So I guess it is a 10-yard penalty when the high motion man is offside, because the Tampa gets it to go.
He already gets a head start. It's one of the few penalties that's against the offense.
Very true. And it's a new one to me. I didn't know the penalty was that detrimental.
So we'll do it over. 4th and 15. High motion man is Tolliver with trips to the left. Boltis downfield, intercepted. Marquise Floyd to the 10, the 5. Touchdown Rattlers. A pick 6 for Marquise Floyd.
Are they going to give him the touchdown? They're going to say he's down short of the goal line. He's on the 1. It looks like they're on the 1.
Underthrown pass intended for Sammons.
He was down before the ball crossed the goal line at the 1-yard line. 1st down.
I'm Coach Guy. I would challenge this. I'd challenge it.
Down at the 1, they say, so no touchdown. 1st and goal from the 1.
That review you saw looked like his momentum carried him into the end zone, right?
It sure looked like it. It's a question if the ball had crossed the plane yet. The officials are saying it didn't. Now Tampa Bay's got some issues on defense. They hand it off to Cruz. Touchdown Rattlers, but a flag is down. And Tampa Bay only had 7 players on defense.
Yeah.
What do we have?
The ref's asking with his mic on. Here you go.
What do we have? Scott Campbell?
Arizona came in with their heavy formation. Normally the defense complements with their heavy formation, but Tampa Bay has some
Play is a touchdown. The defense has to on the defensive side of the ball. That penalty is declined. Try for point.
AJ. The firework guy doesn't waste any time.
He's like,
that was a touchdown? Okay, I'm hitting the button. I'm hitting the button. I don't care what this guy has to say.
Who cares? The ref's still talking. I heard touchdown.
I don't need to hear what he has to say. Touchdown, A.J. Cruz, the rushing touchdown. His first of the game makes it 68-40. Rattlers on top of the Storm with just over 4 minutes left in this game. And 14 about to be unanswered points for Arizona when they needed it in this second half. There it is. So with 3:55 left, 69-40. Rattlers on top of the Storm. We'll close this thing out after a short break. 5 left, Rattlers on top of the Tampa Bay Storm, 69-40 after an A.J. Cruz rushing touchdown. It's been all Rattlers over the last 4 minutes or so, playing well on both sides of the football field. Fabrizio's kick goes through the uprights.
He's tired too.
It's been a long game.
Yeah.
We're pushing 3 hours for an arena game.
He's done a lot of kicking too. A lot of scoring, a lot of kicking. He's tired. Again, my fondness for kickers.
It's brutal.
Hey, got one job to do, kick the ball.
And that he does.
That's right.
1st and 10, Storm from their own 5-yard line. So upcoming for the Storm, they'll host Jacksonville. Jacksonville a winner today against Orlando, 66-51. So Jacksonville will move to 6-5, and they'll add 2 games over Tampa Bay if Tampa Bay, in fact, can't pull the incredible comeback. That pass is incomplete, intended for Julius Gregory.
Yeah, now it's a case where the Rattlers aren't defenders. McAdoo, Hawthorne, and crew aren't going to let Bolt to sit back there and pick them apart. They're going to get after them.
And there's exactly 3 minutes left now in this one. The Rattlers, on the other hand, they're headed to Portland to face the Thunder next week. High motion man with Salmons. They hit him on an out route, across the 10, approaching the 15 before he's driven out of bounds by Marcus Smith. So third down now. Portland's had a rough go of it. They're 3-6 on the season. In that same Pacific Division with the San Jose SaberCats that are doing a nice impression of the 2014 Rattlers. They're a perfect 10-0 so far this season. High motion man is Tolliver. Bolt is just going to air it out. Underthrown, adjusted, and makes the catch is Julius Gregory. I am just really impressed with this guy. And I think this is going to be a flag on the Rattlers.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way.
This will be touchdown number 4 for Gregory if this upholds.
Both of the plays a touchdown. Pass interference. Defense number 21. That penalty is declined. Try for point.
They really should have started airing it out to him much earlier, because the last 2 times they've done it, it's resulted in a touchdown.
Well, yeah, you're right. And I just question Marcus Smith. If you're going to pass interfere with the guy, make sure he doesn't catch it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Catches for a touchdown, add insult to injury as you come up with a penalty, and the person you were guarding comes up with the catch for the touchdown.
Tampa Bay will go for 2 again with 1:45 left. That touchdown makes it 69-46. Julius Gregory has had a fantastic game. And if he was on the winning side of things, he would easily be the offensive player of this game. Instead, we'll give it to Chase DeAdders, 5 touchdowns. 2-point conversion. Boltis out of the pocket. Got to make something happen. Throws it up high and incomplete. Intended for Salmons. So with 1:20 left, 69-46 is the score. And the Rattlers will have the ball back. Hopefully run the clock out. That's Lincoln Kennedy. I'm Jared Cohen. You're streaming Arizona Rattlers football. Looks like Tampa Bay is set up to kick this one away. Well, A.J. Cruz back to receive. Craig Peterson. A.J. Cruz not too fond of Craig Peterson, as we saw earlier in this game. That ball's kicked away high off the nets. Cruz with it. Runs up the middle. Has some space. Drops the football, but it's recovered, I believe, by Jeremy Kellum.
That's exactly right.
He recovers it at the 19-yard line, 1st and 10 Rattlers.
Great heads-up play by Kellum to be around and pick and scoop up that fumble. A.J. Cruz got to remember to secure the ball.
Arizona has 3 timeouts, media timeout.
So with 1 minute left, timeout on the field, Shane Boyd will make his first appearance of the game. You're listening to Arizona Rattlers football. 1st and 10 Rattlers from their own 19-yard line. Shane Boyd will come into the game at quarterback for Nick Davila. Boyd did a fantastic job at quarterback last week. 7 touchdowns to 4 different receivers for 269 yards. He had a good thing going with Marquis White. And Marquis White, done for the season, though. Sustained a pretty serious back injury, which is unfortunate because he was really stepping up big time for this team that no longer had Maurice Purify and had been dealing with injuries with Kerry Reed in and out of the lineup.
Yeah. We'll see how Marquis comes after the injury heals up. Hopefully well.
Boyd connects with A.J. Cruz. Just shy of the 1st down.
Yeah, but he took a shot from Dexter Jackson. The linebacker came around on a blitz. Wasn't even picked up by Benson. Little miscommunication between the Rattlers offensive line and fullback, and we'll see if they can clean that up. They don't want to take unnecessary shots, get anybody hurt. This game is close to being over. Yeah,
there's 30 seconds left. One name that we haven't called much, Everett Dawkins for Tampa Bay, had that streak going of tackles for loss. Boyd trying to hit Windsor. It's knocked away. Nice play right there by Tim Shelley. Stops the clock with 22 seconds left. But yeah, Everett Dawkins been one of the top defensive players in arena football this season, and we really haven't called his name much at all, if at all.
Yeah, it really hasn't had a chance because the offensive line has done such a great job in negating a lot of what Tampa Bay does not only getting pressure on the quarterback, but also sustaining the blocks to have them pick apart the defensive secondary.
2nd and 10, 22 seconds left. Boyd is back to throw. A quick throw to Kerry Reed, who's blocked into the wall, short of the first down. 18 seconds left. Rattlers will move to 8-2. They lost that early one at Las Vegas. That was a game where they really had no returning starters playing in that game. They lost that one and was shocked by Vegas, 70-53, and then they lost to San Jose here at home. That was the first start of the season for B.J. Coleman. And a timeout is going to be called here for Tampa Bay as they didn't have all the personnel on the field.
Yeah, James Harrell hurt his hand after making that next that Reed tackle on Reed at last play, and then took his time getting off the field to where Tampa Bay had to waste a timeout in order to get a replacement on him.
Weather alert.
It's been a crazy night of weather here in the Valley, but I'm happy to report the storm is over.
You heard Amber Sullins. The storm is over. Let's hear it for your Rattlers.
Well played. Well played. Boyd is back to throw. That ball's knocked away on 3rd and 2, 15 seconds left.
You really can't make this stuff up. I mean, that's ABC 15 has nothing better to do, but it's clever.
Very clever.
The storm is over.
The storm is over. 69-46 is the score. 4th and 2 for Shane Boyd and the Rattlers. They'll either convert here and run the clock out, or the Storm will have one more shot to say the storm isn't over yet. They'll pitch it out to Cruz. He'll have enough for a first down and more before he's driven out of bounds. That'll stop the clock. He's out at the 5-yard line, and that'll all but do it. Rattlers will move to 8-2 on the season. Storm will fall to 4-6. They haven't been able to win consecutive games. They had a 2-game losing streak at Orlando and at Philadelphia, which they were able to snap last week against New Orleans. But now another loss. 7 seconds left, and now they'll get it back going. Final score from Champion Community Field at U.S. Airways Center. The Arizona Rattlers victorious 69-46. And Lincoln, your thoughts from tonight's action from the Arizona Rattlers?
A little bit of a sloppy start by the Arizona Rattlers, but I expected this game to go down like this. I thought they were a better team than Tampa Bay. And as you mentioned, Tampa Bay hadn't been able to win 2 in a row. Arizona's getting their rhythm, even though it's been a lot of changeable parts with a lot of different players. It's good to see the Latin Laser back in the form. It's good to have a receiver like Reed that you can depend on. You know, Windsor is Mr. Consistent. And how about Deatter?
Yes.
Coming alive really tonight, making a presence. That bodes well for this Arizona Rattler offense.
In a week where Marquis White goes down with a serious back injury, Chase Deatter responds with 5 touchdowns. The defense was in Jason Boltis' face all night long. He's going to be really feeling it tomorrow. They did a great job providing pressure.
Yeah, there's a lot of sore guys that are walking away in blue uniforms tonight.
We'll go down to the field as Vince Marotta will meet with Kevin Guy for a little post-game interview. We'll go over some of the stats, and then we'll call it a night. But first, let's go down to the field. A little post-game interview action with head coach Kevin Guy.
Here with the head coach of the Arizona Rattlers, Kevin Guy, after another home win. Coach, nice to have not only Nick Davila back, but also Chase Deatter. Big impact on the game tonight.
I thought we did a good job of executing. We came out and got stopped that first series, but then we picked it up, got a little hot, and thought our defense made some big plays tonight. And we moved some guys around to give some young guys some reps, and you know, it was good opportunity for these guys to get in and play.
Yeah, specifically on defense, 4 stops in a row in that second quarter really turned the tide of this game.
Yeah, I thought they turned it up. Pass rush was really getting there. You know, when you're rushing the passer, pressure pick, cover sack, you know, our secondary was making some plays on the ball.
Coach, go enjoy this one. Best of luck in Portland next week. We'll see you here in 2 weeks. Head coach Kevin Guy of your Arizona Rattlers after another big win over Tampa Bay tonight.
69-46, the final. Looking over some of the stats before we call it a night here in Lincoln. First with Tampa Bay. as Jason Boltis goes 22 of 46 for 307 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. His leading receiver, 8 catches for Emery Salmons for 94 yards. Julius Gregory, 6 catches, 109 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 2 of those catches, some of the best I've seen in arena football this season. 4 catches each for Philip Barnett, T.T. Tolliver. Leading tackler was A.I. Phillips in this game for the Tampa Bay Storm that come away the losers in this one. Your old squad, Lincoln, we'll talk about this Tampa Bay team and what you see for them moving forward.
Well, you know what, it's going to be difficult for them to get some cohesiveness because they've been marred by injuries. I saw a number of guys that go down, critical to their offensive consistency. Their offensive line has been struggling because they haven't been totally healthy, and the fact is they haven't been able to keep Boltis standing upright. He's had constant pressure on him. Doesn't bode well if you're going to try to make a play in this conference. They've got to get healthy in order to get efficient.
Nick Davila for the Arizona Rattlers, 18 of 30 for 275 yards. He needed 255 in this game to move into 9th in Arena League history for all-time passing yards. He has now done that. He also had 9 touchdown passes in this game. He was electric. And the guy in the receiving core that was electric himself, Chase DeAtter. We mentioned it, coming up huge. Marquis White goes down injured this week. Chase DeAtter steps up, 6 catches, 91 yards, and 5 scores. Kerry Reed and Rod Windsor each had 2 scores as well. Reed, 6 catches for 89 yards, 5 catches for 68 yards for Rod Windsor. Michael Benson had 2 big catches for 35 yards off of screen passes on third and crucial situations, and A.J. Cruz had 1 catch for 10 yards. And defensively, A.J. Cruz led the way with 8 total tackles to lead the Rattlers. He was everywhere in this game. Your takeaway from the Arizona Rattlers as they move to 8-2.
You know what's been a constant sort of scenario this season? It seems like next man up. And no matter who's there for the Arizona Rattlers, they stepped up and done a good job. Other than a couple hiccups early in the season against Las Vegas and then San Jose, this team is right where they need to be. And that bodes well because a lot of times when you have those interchangeable parts, it's hard to create any cohesiveness or any rhythm. But I didn't see any giddy up in the step tonight on the Arizona Rattlers part. Nick Davila stepped in, did what he did a lot last year when they were going to the MVP, and more importantly, they got the win, and they got the win in good fashion.
Arizona Rattlers moved to 8-2. Tampa Bay Storm moved to 4-6. Again, Tampa Bay will go and host Jacksonville next Friday night, the 12th at 7 p.m. They'll look to try to get back in the win column. They're now 2 games behind Jacksonville in the division. And as for the Rattlers, they're going back out on the road next Friday night, also playing on Friday night against the Portland Thunder, a 7 o'clock kickoff on the West Coast. That's Lincoln Kennedy. I've been Jared Cohen. This has been Arizona Rattlers football. Again, the final from downtown Phoenix, Ak-Chin Indian Community Field at U.S. Airways Center. Rattlers winner over the Tampa Bay Storm, 69-46. Have a great rest of your night.